Consequence Podcast Network.
My friendship to all of you precludes my involvement with any one of you. But if you wanna make love, then I do too, and I'll be right there behind you. All in the name of oh, all in the name of oh, all in the name of oh.
Greetings, constant listeners, and welcome once again to the Losers Club, a Stephen King podcast from Consequence of Sound. I am one of your four hosts this evening. Well, we're recording this evening, so I'll say this evening. My name is Justin Gerber, senior writer at Consequence of Sound. And I'm not sure about the others in this room, but my mother taught me two things in life. It was okay to play with dollhouses and always use your napkins during meals. That's right, gang. To quote Merlin and John Boorman's 1981 classic Excalibur, it's time to look into the eyes of the dragon and despair. But first, let's let the other losers introduce themselves, reveal the edition from which they read, and talk about when they first encountered this material. To my right, hear ye, hear ye. What is your name?
Hi, this is Mel Frisky Castle.
Whoa.
That's not innuendo. It's the name of a very important character in the book.
Whoa. Oh,
I like how you introduce it like it's a game show. Like, I feel like we're playing for prizes. I love dragons. Loved dragons since I was a little girl. Always sought out dragon-related material. One of my pet peeves in life that I think I've mentioned to multiple losers is when a book contains the word dragon in the title or advertises a dragon on its cover and then incorporates no dragon into the book. This book almost does this. There is a dragon.
There's a cheat.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
But
There's two dragons.
I've owned Eyes of the Dragon for a while. I don't know where this copy came from. Most of my King books, I have no idea where they came from. It's a old hardcover copy. It's a Viking edition. It's got the illustrations in it that everybody has. And I've tried to start it 2 times before reading it in its entirety for this podcast. And it never grabbed me enough for me to finish it, which is very odd. I'm into fantasy novels. I'm into Stephen King. And I guess this one just didn't have the breakneck pace that I was looking for when I tried it the first couple of times. So that was my intro to the book.
And across from you is
Mackenzie Dragon Sand Gerber.
Okay.
Hey.
Wow.
Almost no alliteration in there.
Mackenzie Poison Gerber.
Hey, there's no M characters in this. Are
Merlin,
there?
Morgana,
Oh yeah,
Morgaz.
Merlin.
I'm thinking about fantasy people.
This is my first time reading Eyes, and I was really excited because I obviously it takes place in the old realm of the midworld.
Mm-hmm.
So being a real tower head, I was really excited to get into the history of midworld and explore some of that. And first page, I was like, whoa, some big revelations. So that was my introduction to it was literally, like a few months ago.
Excellente. And we have somebody returning to the podcast. He made his debut what seems like 25 years ago when the Dark Tower film came out. And it's another Dan, but it's not Dan Caffrey. It is...
This is Dan, Desperate Housewives of Delain Flieger.
Oh,
the HDF.
Yeah, good to be back, guys. I'm like you guys, fellow tower heads. Yeah. But no, I read this book in college, and it was nice to kind of return and join the old friends again.
And I'm looking forward to talking to you about, because you did not necessarily read it this time around. You had it read to you by one of our favorite perfect strangers.
Yes, Bronson Pinchot.
That's
Is that how you
right.
say it?
That's right.
The guy who played Belky on Perfect Strangers. It was a little ahead of my time, that show, but I remember catching snippets of it.
And
we have plenty of thoughts on that.
Of course, in the Stephen King classic, The Langoliers on ABC.
Yes.
oh, that's right.
One of the few bright spots in that adaptation. Mel, have you ever seen The Langoliers?
No, nor have I. Is it an adaptation?
Oh, it's an adaptation.
I haven't read the story either.
It has... It's not hyperbolic for me to say it's the worst freeze-frame ending in the history of cinema.
Wait, I think you guys
feature
have
film.
described the ending to me before.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that with the two monsters chomping away at
well,
time?
that's the
slow
climax of the
motion,
film, but the actual ending is seek it on YouTube. That's all I'm going to say.
Can I just say, when you said he had it read to him, it sounded like you were going to say like an old woman in a rocking chair.
Well, Dan, before Dan went to bed every night, he had Bronson Pinchot reading him chapters of Eyes of the Dragon. There's nothing wrong with that. He's been looking for work, Bronson Pinchot. Anyway, before we get into all that, a lot of people were asking, hey, why are we doing Eyes of the Dragon now? Why are we doing Eyes of the Dragon 1987? Well,
Is it possible you made a mistake?
oh, no. Au contraire. Au contraire, Mel. I definitely didn't write this down when I give you the history of the book. All right, well, we've used the Stephen King Revisited website, which is run by King enthusiast and co-writer Richard Cheesemar in the past, and we used it again to glean a little info into the history of the Eyes of the Dragon. Here's the thing. In 1984, King actually published 1,250 copies through his personal imprint, Filtrum Press. Now, the book would be mass-marketed through Viking in 1987, which is an edition that I think all of us read from with those illustrations. Mm-hmm. But major changes were made from that 1984 edition, and there were earlier introductions for Ben in the 87 version, namely the race that he and Peter participate in as children, as well as earlier entries for both Brandon and Dennis. The genders of the animals Frisky and Peony kept switching back and forth in the original edition.
Peony.
Peony. Is it peony?
It's a type of flower, a peony.
Oh, I have got to go back to my
Bone
garden.
up on your floral knowledge.
I'll tell you what, I really am
Peony.
a fool. Am I? I think they have peyote.
Panini, I think.
I could use some
he just
peyote right
added
now.
one letter to the word pony. It makes perfect sense.
That's what he did. Oh, he's trying to be all clever. Anyway, he kept switching back and forth between the genders of the animals on accident in the original edition, so that was rectified as well. And again, though, the illustrations changed. Kenneth Linkhauser did the limited edition, while David Palladini did the 87 and much more popular and much more available edition. And we'll be referencing those illustrations in this episode.
Would love to have seen those original illustrations, though.
You're in luck. If you could go to this website, it's www.google.com.
Oh, is it really that widely
spell
available?
Yeah, am I pronouncing it? Is it gaggle? Or no, it's like
I think it's jujel.
juggle.
It's a type of flower.
Am I pronouncing the E right?
I think it's
on
actually
there.
giggle.
It is
It's
on there.
jugle.
All joking aside, though, you can find the those old illustrations on there. And for those of you lucky people out there who have the 84 edition, you know what? Send us a picture. And send us a postcard with a picture on it. That would be even better. That's where my dialogue was going. Anyway, in addition to Eyes of the Dragon, 2 other King books were released in November of 1984. The Talisman, co-written by Peter Straub, and Thinner, released under his famous pseudonym Richard Bachman. I could not find an exact release day for Eyes of the Dragon. So the bottom line is this. We needed more time in between books because The Talisman is so freaking long and Pet Sematary is so depressing. And why not fill the slot with a fantasy novel? And now The Eyes of the Dragon is dedicated to Ben Straub and Naomi King, children of Peter and Stephen, respectively, with the teenage Naomi encouraging him to finish it when he had reservations early on. I did it the courtesy of writing Eyes of the Dragon, King said, for myself too, because if you are writing for someone else, you always write it down. He calls a novel an adult novel masquerading as a children's story in the vein of Treasure Island or The Hobbit. Wow.
High praise from
high
himself.
praise from himself. Yeah. You know, the Ulysses, the Odyssey, everything else. And so that is our brief
kind of
history,
like
and
the
that
Bible.
explains somewhat why we're doing this one now and not waiting until next month. But it does check out. It checks out. 1984, that's when it was technically released. We're
It's
sticking
also
with it.
84, the only Stephen King solo book. There you go.
Absolutely true. No Bachman or Straub involved in this particular. Well, a Straub dedication happens in this. That's about it, though.
I've got a couple Hobbit notes in here.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh, right now.
No,
okay.
not
What, you want to do it later on? Does this have to do with the history?
Not really.
of the book?
I didn't know we were going to bring it up.
No, we'll bring it up later on. We'll bring it up later on as
Find
we
a
go throughout
natural
the
opening.
history and everything else. But that's the history of the heroes and the villains of this particular story later on. But before we do that, let's break down the synopsis. So Mel, you don't really have a synopsis in yours because yours is the hardcover, correct? But
I think it's just missing a jacket.
yeah, you're just well. Also, your dog also ate the hell out of that book.
Yeah, if you can't see this, listeners, but the spine of my book is chewed thoroughly. It makes
Most
it look
thoroughly.
really old and antiquated and really professional.
Just stick with it. Say, I found it in the back of a used bookstore. Look how beautiful it is. All right. So do you, Mac and Dan have, we'll call them rivaling editions. And do you have similar synopsis or different?
Exactly. Verbatim.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same. I'll let Dan read this if he wants to.
Well, if you want to read it at the same time, that'll be really fun.
No,
Thank you, Seth.
No, it won't.
I'll start
Mel will be very
backwards.
upset.
Okay. Once upon a time, there
No,
was
please don't do
terror
this. This
and
is a bad
dragons
idea.
and princes.
All right, hold on. All right, go ahead.
I'll take over.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay.
Once upon a time, there was terror and dragons and princes, evil wizards and dark dungeons, an enchanted castle and a terrible secret. With this enthralling masterpiece of magical evil and daring adventure, Stephen King takes you in his icy grip and leads you into the most shivery and irresistible kingdoms of wickedness. The Eyes of the Dragon.
Well, it's cold at certain points.
And then I've got a couple.
I can understand the icy grip.
A couple reviews here. That is The sorcery of Stephen King. ... Expertly seductive. ... The kind of book that keeps you up, red-eyed with fatigue until 2 a.m. because it's just not possible to stop turning the pages. So Mel, why couldn't you stop turning the pages? Why are you able to
Very
stop?
misleading. First of
turning
all,
the
there's
pages?
one kingdom.
Very true.
One kingdom that we visit in this book.
Oh, wait, this other one here. This is from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Wow.
Memorable, compelling, suspenseful, brimming with action.
Also not true, but we'll get to that.
It's just not true.
This is like high praise for the Lord of the Rings. What is this?
Oh, is it really? Oh, wow.
So I can't believe this is the first time we've had two different editions, but the same synopsis on both. Wow, they really didn't even try to spruce it up. Congratulations. Maybe one's like a British edition over here. Who knows? Is it possible?
I don't know. They also gave up on Dan's cover.
Let's see. Dan's cover, Mel, you refer to it as maybe a frog or a snake.
It
looks like a raptor.
It's a photograph of a real reptile eye. It honestly looks like a tree frog eye. It's probably a snake eye. And then like some proportionally incorrect jawline with big teeth, but it doesn't even look... It looks like it doesn't have a snout. Like, it looks really weird.
Yeah, he has like Tyrannosaurus Rex teeth, and it's sort of a chameleon-looking lizard, and it's out of focus.
Yeah, where's the nostril? Like, where does that end?
It looks like a bad selfie. If you look at it really close, and we'll have to take a picture of this and post it up later on. So yeah, there you have it. The extremely accurate description of the Eyes of the Dragon told by young Dan Flieger. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the story, let's have some salad. Let's get into the hook.
Yes. Don't you see? Don't you see how clear it all is? Not only can you see the future, I can change it. You can change it exactly.
Mel, I don't think you like my seamless transition using the salad in place of the hook.
Well, honestly, I'm anticipating the genius behind it because I don't understand it yet.
Well, genius doesn't explain genius. So,
Wow. Well, I guess I'll forever be in the dark.
oh, you're selling yourself short. The hook of this story is fairly simple, wouldn't you say? What would Mac, if you had to say what the hook of the Eyes of the Dragon is, what would you say?
Everyone give your elevator pitch for
Yes.
Eyes of the Dragon.
You're in the room with Bantam or who is this at the time? Viking. Oh, that's right, Viking. And you're trying to pitch the story. Go ahead.
We've got dragons. We've got princes. We've got kings. You couldn't want anything else. We've also got icy cold Stephen King helming this book. You're going to love it.
Oh, hey, you sold me. Dan, if you had to walk into the Viking offices and pitch this book, what would you say?
I would say it's a fantastical transition from boyhood to manhood.
Very good, very good, very good. Mel.
3 words. King does fantasy.
I like it already. How about, I got 2 words for you, Mr. Viking, John Viking. Napkins and dollhouses.
Oh,
And Stephen King's writing it. Okay. Oh, whatever you want to do,
what?
Mr. King.
If you brought up Stephen King after that, I would have been actually like really intrigued. Like, oh, what's he going to do with napkins and dollhouses? He's been able to turn all these other objects into these terrifying things.
Well, it's funny because no joke. Earlier drafts of this story, it was just called The Napkins.
Yeah,
It was just called
Yeah.
napkins.
Napkins.
No,
Yeah,
the-
napkins. Not even.
Yeah.
Not even.
I think that's what we're going to go. I think the
Napkins.
podcast is now assuming that name too.
the Napkins Club.
Yep.
It sounds
I like
like
it
a
already.
junior college creative writing prompt. Like, right, the subject is napkins, go.
It's just Napkins Club. It's just Napkins Club, not the.
Somebody walks around with like a top hat and says, "Wherever you pull out of this hat, you have to write about." Oh, napkins! Finally, so this is definitely King's real full-on foray into fantasy writing because we've had the Dark Tower, the Gunslinger already. We've
But
discussed
that's
that.
also very much steeped into like the Western.
Yes,
kind
agreed.
of.
And I'm actually sort of astounded that none of the promotional materials mention Flag, because we've already had the Dark Tower.
That's, it's very strange to me because they literally name drop Flag on page 1.
However, in early editions of the Gunslinger, I do not believe the name Flag. Dan is also a feature Dark Tower head over here. He knows a lot too.
Walter O'Dim, the Man in Black. It was not revealed until the 3rd book, and then he went back and rewrote.
Do you guys think? I guess we can talk about this.
We've also got the Stand already.
But the Stand had come out.
Sure.
That's
why I'm like, why? Because they definitely call him Flag.
Oh
in
yeah,
that,
he's flagging that. That is an interesting call. I don't know why they didn't totally sell this as. Remember that guy you loved in the Stand? Well, he's back. He's back in black.
It's also possible that because it's such a we haven't really. I don't know, because we have the Dark Tower, we have the Gunslinger already, so we've already established there's other worlds, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm surprised no one jumped on this and was,
as Jake once said, there are other worlds than these. That's very true.
Thanks,
Maybe
Justin.
they really did want to hammer home like how different this book was. Like, it's his foray into fantasy. It's a completely other beast. Like, nothing has prepared you for this.
That is also true. Yeah. I mean, it's its own thing. It really is its own thing. And again, the fact that it came out in 84, kind of, but then wasn't released fully until years later. Who knows if that also screwed with the promotion of the books at that point. I mean, The Stand was a very popular book when it came out, but that was about 9 years earlier at that point. Again, Drawing of 3 hadn't even come out yet. The Gunslinger had come out years and years earlier. So I don't know what he was trying to tackle here. But the bottom line is this. The book is dedicated to 2 children. And I think that really plays heavily into the theme of the story and the way it's written. As he even alludes to himself in that history of the book I gave earlier on. Let me tell you, here's my other pitch for this book. How about this?
Okay.
You get 2 pitches. No one gets
the elevator.
The other one, when I mentioned the napkins and dollhouses, the guy went, I don't know about this. So I said, well, hold on. This will be to the Dark Tower what Disney's The Sword and the Stone is to the Once and Future King. It's more or less a children's retelling of a legend. Does that sell it kind of?
Well, except there's no pre-existing legend.
Well, if you're saying the Dark Tower, the Dark Tower exists at this point. If you're saying that the Dark Tower universe exists at this point, and this is kind of a more children-friendly version of it.
I would say a fairy tale version.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because much more, it's
fairy tales
simplified.
are dark. This is dark.
I
think King kind of rears his, but remember, like, the grimness of reality is still here, like, all the time in this.
Oh, yeah.
The brothers' grimness of reality.
Oh, yeah.
Famous.
A famous fable fairy tale.
Famous bros.
Fun fact, Brothers Grimm wrote a lot of their stories in Kassel, the town in Germany that is my last name.
Oh.
Castle Rock, perhaps.
Ooh.
Completely different.
No, that's a different spelling.
Different spelling.
Are we sure?
I'll double check. Thank you.
No, I mean, I'm saying maybe the German version is spelled Castle Rock with like an E at the very end.
Oh.
I took 3 years of German. You figure I would know how to spell rock in German, but oh well. Thanks, Frau. That was what our German teacher made us call her, by the way.
Bitte, Justin.
Made you?
Doesn't get any, made us. Forbade us to talk to her any other way. What else are we going to talk about here with this?
Wolfliger brought
up
a very key theme in this book, which is growing up. Becoming a man or a king, as it were.
Oh. Right. The journey of leadership, courage, sort of letting go of the things that hold us to childhood. And you can see between the 2 brothers especially, they both sort of take different paths to sort of wind up at their adulthood.
It's true. One grows up a little too quick when he turns to alcohol too soon.
And then one waits very, very patiently.
Would you say that this book teaches us that maybe patience is a virtue?
It is a virtue.
Yes. I wrote down patience, resourcefulness, manners, and innate kingly qualities, which is where this book confuses me a little bit because I feel that it is trying to be incredibly real at points and sort of point to the nuances of life and personalities. But it also is super committed to the idea that this guy was born to be a king. He's fated to be a king. And there's really nothing anyone can do to take that away from him. So it's interesting to me. I feel like Stephen King really wants to be married to the idea that people are so complicated and anyone can change and destinies rely on these minute changes and chaos theory, but he also really clearly likes character traits that are unmoving and unchangeable. And we'll talk about the parallels between this and Shawshank later, but there's a lot of Dufresne in Peter, I think.
I would agree with that take, Mel. I think it's him fighting against his impulses a lot of the time, because this is very much told, like I said earlier, in a like you're telling it to children, But all of his other novels, you're not telling those stories to children. Well, except for Apt Pupil, of course, you're telling that to a child at the earliest age possible.
And there's one line too that I think
Bedtime reading.
no, but there's one line too about I think it's Sasha, and they're talking about you have a childhood toy that you love. And if you get a new one, it doesn't make you forget the older toy. But I think that kind of symbolizes that transition from childhood to adulthood. There's kind of a bittersweetness there that you do have to let go of the past. And no matter what you do, you're never going to be able to fully reconnect with the present with the past.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of little things going on throughout the book. It's a long book. I did not remember it being this long when I read it for the first time, like 15 years ago. But it's there's a couple sections later on in the book that I'll just say you could have probably just cut out completely, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Let's stay in the kingdom is all I'm going to say. Let's just
So
stay in the kingdom.
patience, definitely a theme.
Not a virtue for me, apparently. I was like, let's get this thing going on. No, but
I think kingliness, like what it means to be a king or what it means to be a man or what it means to be someone who looks out for others. And what else do you guys think?
almost every other fairy tale trope that there could possibly be, except there is no real, there's no damsel in distress here. There's a
aren't
Peter.
many women, actually.
Yeah, you know what? How about let's talk about this a little bit too, because
the two women right out the gate, which is Sasha and then was it Roland's grandfather's wife? I can't remember her name, but in the story when they talk about how Flag's been around for a long time, both women are like really strong-headed and like good, like strong-willed and have a good head on their shoulders. And it says both times he tries to get them out of the picture immediately because he's like, they're not going to be good for my future
plans. Yeah.
So they're like these strong women characters that he kills like immediately because he can't be around with them there because they would like totally usurp him.
Even Naomi, who shares the book of dedication with Ben, is like almost an afterthought. Like the second, or like
but I like what we get of her.
quarter.
She's kind of, she's tough. She's smoking cigars. I'm like, let's hear some more from this character.
She's
but
that wildling. Agreed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well,
George
I thought
R. R. Martin came after.
What was
this.
interesting though is even though there's not a lot of strong female characters throughout it, it's the lessons that they teach Peter early
That's
on
true.
that kind of carry over and help him to evenally escape.
If it was not for his mother, he would still be up
she's
there
the one
now.
who taught him the manners. She's the one, that he played with the dollhouse because of her memory. He saw how people around would gravitate toward her because she was kind and fair. And a lot of those early lessons kind of, in a way, kind of make him like the male Rapunzel. He's in the tower, and there's a lot of similarities there. Obviously, he's climbing down rather than
Using
having
napkins
someone climb
instead
up.
of golden hair, of course. Yes, I agree with that too.
This is true. I feel like the book is concerned with weak-willed men.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
My God.
But I also am just still angry. I mean, that's not just to be like, but the women are too strong to be in here is not representation.
I can't write about this.
yeah,
No, it's not represented well. No, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
We should say Happy International Women's Day.
Oh, yes. It's
That's right.
that's right.
In honor, we're
and
doing
from
Eyes
now
of
on,
Dragon.
I will be the only one to talk on this podcast.
That's right.
So,
We concede the floor to Mel until midnight.
thanks, everybody.
Until midnight Central Standard Time. Is it time to talk a little bit about the structure and format of this book?
I think it might be.
Well, structure and the format, we've touched upon this a little bit already. It's very much told in that fairy tale vein, and it's broken down into what feels like hundreds of mini chapters. Right?
Chapters of varying length.
Yes.
That vary between a regular size and a couple sentences.
I feel like there's 20 chapters in the last 6 pages. You're like, no, it's over with. No, we're done. Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. It's very much like Running Man in that respect.
I was going to
The
say
short chapters.
For me, I like the short chapters. I like being able to complete something. If my train rides are very irregular, so I like to be like, oh, I can get there, and I stop, and then I'm like, good. I'm at the beginning of a new section when
Mac
I come back to this
to be
book.
fed chapters like Scooby Snacks.
I need it. I need it.
Well, it's sort of like that book House of Leaves, where there's certain chapters that I think are just one word, literally.
What's funny is that book is somehow available for the Kindle, And
Don't
it's
ever
like,
do
can you
that.
imagine, I'm not kidding. So I checked it out just to take a look at it, even though it's the worst way to obviously read that book. And, I'm like turning my Kindle upside down. I'm trying to
Is it like
do
autocorrecting?
close-ups. It's like it keeps reverting back. So I can't read anything. No shots of House of Leaves, but it's gonna be a while before I'm able to read that book. I don't know.
Do you want to borrow it?
Yeah. Can I borrow it, Mel?
Yeah, I think I have 2 copies.
Oh, Dan, do you have one? Do you want to borrow it?
No,
too?
I haven't read it in a long time. I would love to.
I also think that it's structured this way because, like we were saying, it is geared more towards a young audience or younger audience. I wouldn't say it's like a YA novel or anything like that, but it's definitely for the younger.
Well, I know a lot of YA novels where like a young boy looks at his father naked. Does that happen in the Hunger Games or anything like that?
What? Oh, I don't know. I didn't read the Hunger Games books.
So maybe.
So maybe, yeah. So maybe it does.
We've got a narrator who occasionally addresses us as part of the structure and format.
Is there any doubt that this is Stephen King?
Yeah, that's what I was
reading
like.
to you?
Is Stephen King the narrator?
I feel like it's Stephen King reading to Naomi.
So I think it's King reading to Naomi only because there's a point later on, and I'll have to find it. You guys can keep talking, but there's a point later on where he says, like, oh, they say that is it Peter's in the tower and he's still 100 feet up, and he says that it's about 4 stories of one of our buildings.
Yeah, he does make a couple references to our world.
to like our world. So I was like, oh, okay, because originally I thought maybe this was a narrator telling a story from this world in the future. Which could still be the case. Maybe he crossed over.
There's even there's a couple of more references like that. He writes, there were no faucets and no flushing toilets because the Kingdom of Delain did not know about such things and doesn't even to this day. And so it's still out there to keep the illusion alive. And then upon hearing news of Peter's trial, he writes, if Delain had a stock market, I suppose it would have crashed. So there's a lot of, and there's one part where he says, hi, this is Stephen King. I hope you're enjoying The Eyes of the Dragon.
No,
Let's take a little break now.
We'll be back for chapter 43.
This is King at his most schmaltzy, these little breaks. I really don't like it. It's something that I can take in the little doses that he kind of hands out in introductions and stuff to books. But every time it happens, I'm like, ugh.
And just about every chapter ends with a kind of a comforting moment. Like, well, don't worry. Things will be okay in a minute.
Yeah, foreshadowing is another thing that's just like doled out like it's fucking Christmas.
Yeah, there's so much self-deprecating humor too, where he's like, perhaps a better storyteller would be able to. And they're like, you're the most prolific author in history. Like, don't humble brag.
You've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
You're fine.
But in the Dark Tower too, I mean, not to get too far ahead, but he is sort of this multi-universe storyteller.
Yeah.
And, this idea was probably still bubbling in his head, but I think you could kind of retcon going back and saying, yeah, he is this omniscient storyteller that can narrate any story that's in the universe.
Yeah, not to get too far ahead, but I think you might be onto something. If you've read the Dark Tower books, you might really be onto something. We'll get to those books probably next year, I think, at this point. We're getting pretty close to this.
Have me back for some of those. I would
absolutely
love to.
I think everybody here has read the Dark Tower, right?
I haven't read Went Through the Keyhole.
Well, it's good, but I'm saying the actual 7-book
the
series.
series,
Yes.
yeah.
So we're all very familiar with all the characters.
I've forgotten a lot of it.
Well,
but I remember what you're talking about.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. So yeah, the structure of the format. It's told in the fairy tale way, broken down by the chapters, but something big we're leaving out, those illustrations.
Oh, man.
Got to talk about those illustrations and how impactful I felt they were to the story and how they really drove home. I mean, it's really, I don't want to diminish it in any way, but they very much do read they're very visual in the way that you would see in children's literature, for instance.
Yeah, I did not have the illustrations in my book, but I went on.
Question for you.
I logged into the Google site you mentioned earlier and found some.
Did Bronson Pinchot every once in a while just describe the pictures?
No, but he painted such a beautiful picture with his voice that visuals were not necessary.
Silent scene. So did anybody have any favorite pictures they want to talk about? Any illustrations, I should say, to keep it classy?
Any of them involving a dragon, I feel like are pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like the one that you're looking at right now, actually, a lot.
There's one where Thomas is looking through the eye of the dragon, and we see most of the illustration is taken up by this close shot of the dragon's eye socket and nostril and face, and then you kind of see Thomas's face peering out of it, or part of it anyway. But we were kind of discussing before coming in here that these illustrations are a little hit or miss.
Yeah, there's something about the faces that are really strange. They almost look anime, but like the bridges of people's noses are always weird in these pictures.
My favorite picture is on 214 of the Signet book. it's of Peter with like the napkin, and he's got a big scar on his face, and he kind of looks like a hunky Stephen King, doesn't he? Like a young,
I know a little bit. You know, you say
I
that.
could see that.
right. You look,
Steve King. He looks like there it is. He looks like Steve King.
He looks like Jim Carrey in the 1980s when he was doing stand-up circuit.
It's like, what was that movie, Rubberhead? He did.
Earth Girls Are Easy era.
But there's still
but I
something a
agree.
little off about it. Like
oh yeah, it's the was it the perspective, or if he's standing there looking a certain way, it just doesn't look quite right. There's a comic book artist that gets all of the perspective wrong, or not perspective wrong, but like the
I know
body
you're talking
sizes.
about. It's
Do you know
like,
what I'm talking about?
Rob Liefeld.
Yes, and it's just like your body wouldn't contort in that way, or your torso's too big, or the legs are too tiny. It's very strange.
It's mostly the faces. Like on page 139 of my book, there's the illustration of Peter looking down from the needle at the celebrating crowd at Thomas's coronation, and these people's faces are like very trollish, or just I don't even know how to describe them.
They don't look like humans.
No.
Did you? I was too busy looking for hunky Stephen King. Did you mention this one? That
is the ultimate example of this is for children. It's the sack race scene.
And I think that's where the illustrations work, is when they're a little bit more vague, a little bit more stylized, like you said, like the dragon pictures. The one of I think there's one of Flag in his tower, lighting his finger on fire.
That's a great one.
Like it's just, those are kind of cool because they're not paying attention to too much detail. Enough's left to your imagination where the picture is kind of like just kind of a starter for your imagination.
There's a great one of the tiny loom in the dollhouse too, and Peter's giant fingers.
That might be my favorite one, because that's the whole story right there, essentially. At least that's all about his escape right there. I like the little ones at the end of some of these chapters. I like the one with the locket and the little bit of blood on it. Mm-hmm. Of course, after the big death. And then, but the uber close up of Flag once again just screams, I hope you're between the ages of 8 and 13. It's just very evil. There's no question that this is a villain. You know what I mean? Whereas the Stand version of Randall Flagg was kind of described later on by King as a Jeff Goldblum looking person.
Yeah.
So I can see maybe a little more pointed, older Jeff Goldblum maybe here. I don't know.
And then on page 280, there's a just kind of like a framed picture of like a rabbit, and then there's the moon with like the ring around it. Because just before that, he mentions talking about where is this? The moon, MOON. But as the night came on and the moon with its ghostly fairy ring rose in the sky. And I like that because I've seen that before. Like when it's there's something going on in the atmosphere where there's actually like a ring, like a foggy ring, a halo around the moon, and that brought it home for me in that photo. But that photo,
Good.
This is all real, ladies
no one
and
does
gentlemen.
something off about it. They're real photos.
I've got some real King's Dominion in room 237 to bring to the table tonight.
Oh God! Well, I can't wait for that later on.
Do you guys? How much do you think the illustrations added to the book? They're like cool, but I honestly don't think they're integral, and I honestly think I could have done without them.
I think I need them in there. Again, I don't think they're perfect, especially the closer you get to some of these human faces. When you really stare at like the one Mel is pointing about the is that a woman or something like that? You get a little too close. It's like something as scary stories to tell in the dark by Alvin Schwartz over here. Look that up if you haven't been scared lately. But it adds to the whole kind of charm about this book that it is very much written for the young, in my opinion.
I think if you're reading the book and you're 200 in, and you start to realize, you start to go, why is he explaining every single thing to me? Oh, it's for a younger audience, and you hit those pictures.
To be fair, there are other King books where he does the same thing. Really, why is he explaining all of this?
I know, but in this book, it's a little. I will say
they were too sporadic for me. Like I feel like if you're going to do it, like go big or go home.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the pictures, the photos,
the photos,
the pictures,
the lifelike photos.
Yeah, no, I agree. They don't show up enough. This isn't like the Gunslinger. Like those are so sporadic. I like it like that. They're so feathered out.
Yeah, you
But
feel like you're getting like this huge
it's a nice
unexpected
treat.
reward.
Yeah, there's like 7 in the whole first book, whereas this, it was just too many.
this is a little too many and a little
Or too few.
Well, not.
Well, this might get really awkward because we actually have the artist of this book here. Come on in. No, let's bring him in.
Oh,
No.
hey.
Just kidding. He's not here. He may no longer be with us. I had not double checked on that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Got
now.
really grim.
Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, very much so. Thanks for that lead in. All right, so I think it's about that time to move on to the old heroes and villains.
I'm gonna have to kill this fucking clown. Welcome to the Losers Club, asshole!
Well, let's start off with the old man of the tale who dies later on. His name,
King Roland's. Yeah,
What are you doing?
I didn't have the song.
Good King Wenceslas.
Venceslav.
Yeah, but
Although,
it's
this brings up an interesting point. Do we ever get Roland's last name?
like badass or something like that, you know?
Because we do get some last names. We get Ben and Naomi's.
We do.
I
The
don't
interesting.
think
Here's the
you
interesting.
do.
When this goes back to my comparison between the Sword and Stone and Arthurian legend, and then with this and the Dark Tower legend, where are we supposed to think that this is some fairy tale version of Roland Deschain?
See, I thought it was just like because Roland is in the line of Eld and he is royalty. I thought maybe it was like maybe Roland got his name from this Roland, like past Roland's passed down. The name stayed in the family, kind of thing. A distant cousin, because this takes place in Delain, right?
Yeah, it's all very loose. Like I said, it's all very loose with the
Right,
rest of the
right.
Dark Tour, the Dark Tower lore, the Dark Tour lore.
Welcome to the Dark Tour.
Plus,
like Gandalf.
those two Rolands could not really be more different.
That's
Yeah.
also
We
We
true.
discussed
Yeah.
King Roland. He's just sort of a beer-bellied, meandering old man at the end of his life. He enjoys a good hunt. He can bring down a dragon, which is like his crowning moment. Crowning achievement.
What is the name of the actor from Prince of Thieves that plays? Oh God, he's in Hamlet as well. He plays his father.
Oh God,
He's a
He's-
British actor.
it's Brian.
God,
We'll figure it
find
out later. We'll Google it
But
while we're
I
talking.
have
It'll be
that
very
image,
natural.
which is exactly what you described. He's kind of like this, almost like this lovable, bumbling kind of oversized guy, but you know, he's kind of, I don't know, he's a little sweet and he's a little too.
He's like harmless.
Yeah, he's
Harmless.
harmless. That's a good description.
Is he impotent or is he gay?
He's gay.
They hint that he's gay in the
yeah.
beginning.
100% gay.
Yeah.
I
wasn't
think
able
so.
to really explore it. But also, too, just going on the Roland thing, too.
Yeah,
is
yeah, good.
The original poem that Robert Browning wrote,
The child Roland.
Child Rolling to the Dark Tower Came, I almost feel like this was a more of a fleshing out of that Roland historical character to kind of segue into the Dark Tower Roland.
That's Robert Browning did that, right?
Yeah, because I'm sure I've never really read that poem, or I haven't in a long time, but, you know, I'm sure there's nothing in common other than they're a king.
Yeah, and it's a familiar name.
Right.
Again, it's like saying somebody's name was Michael.
Yeah.
You know, because as we all know, Michael's a very common name.
It is.
You're not going to get a deeper conversation about anything than you will on this podcast, listener. So you should be grateful for all the time you spend with us.
To bring it back to the king's sexuality too, and I think
Yeah.
the fact that this does read as more of a child's book, and given the time that it's written, he kind of like coyly hints at some things
Yeah.
without fleshing them out too much, and I almost feel like that was his way of kind of like, I don't know, making the children's curiosity get stimulated. Like, oh, what does that mean? Because he doesn't say it's bad or anything, you
No.
know, and he's just sort of like, it's just not his thing.
He's like, he's got to take some medicine to have sex with his wife. That's
yeah, and
And that's what you do when you like men.
all. When you like men, that's what you should do. No,
Yeah, to
I'm
give her-
kidding. I'm kidding. Jesus, I'm kidding.
Well, no, I'm just speaking to like, I agree with what you're saying. But I also think it's like not the best portrayal.
Oh, no.
I mean, maybe he's asexual, although I doubt that was something.
Well, that was my other
King
question. Yeah, but there's some parts about where he says, I think he's like afraid of women at a certain point in the
yeah,
story.
he only
too.
sleeps with her like 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah. And they haven't been married for 25 years yet, which is impressive. That's a joke towards all old married couples out there,
Oh God.
which maybe I will be, maybe I won't. Who knows? It's getting really dark here in the Losers Club podcast.
Yikes.
But that's really, obviously, here's something else I have a question about.
Okay.
Was there something, did you find something biblical between what happens with Thomas and the king, I'm reminded of one of my favorite Bible passages, Genesis 9:22, of course, in which Ham sees his father naked and a curse is later put upon him. Because again, in this, Thomas sees his father naked, and shortly after that, madness happens. He becomes an alcoholic, and I don't know. Do you think that was a deliberate thing that King did there, or is it something that I'm reading way too much into this?
I'm gonna go with the latter.
You think so? I was reading that, thinking that. I don't know, the whole shame thing too.
I think it works because even too with the two brothers and the jealousy, I was thinking of the story of Cain and Abel,
Definitely,
obviously,
yeah.
and but I think it's also hard to escape Bible stories because they're so ingrained in just any kind of narrative that you make.
And they're children's stories.
They're also they're also very much like at the base of any kind of anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could pull Bible stories from pretty much any story to an extent.
I would agree,
because it's a lot of people just grow up with that and it's in the back of their minds.
Well, if anybody out there knows if this is actually the case, please let us know.
Stephen, we know you're listening.
Stephen, if you want to just go ahead and tell us. I know you're listening to every episode, so for God's sake, Stephen. Oh God, yeah, do it. Do it for us, please. Okay, King Roland. Wonderful. Let's move on to the bad boy of the story. Ooh. One of our favorite Stephen King characters. It's Flag. He's back for the first time officially.
No first name.
No first name.
Or maybe Flag is his first name, but he has one name and it's Flag.
Just Flag. No mention of Randall.
Here, let me start this off with this. This is like his tagline. Okay, this is like honest. If he had a poster for this, if this was a movie and he had his own poster, this would be his tagline. Mischief, after all, was Flag's cake and pie.
Ooh, hungry.
Cake and pie.
Yeah,
Dan, I know you were really eager to talk about Flag.
I'm super eager. My Xbox name is Randall Flag, but spelled the way I spell Flieger.
Oh, with the silent P.
Yeah, silent P in there. So hit me up, kids, if you want to play some Halo.
Play some Friday the 13th with the game.
And the real reason why Dan wanted to come on the podcast is revealed.
So Flag, of course, as we know from The Stand, the Dark Tower series, he's sort of this immortal creature of malevolence and evil. And this book's interesting because it's sort of it's not as jokey a version of the Flag that we've seen in other forms. He's a lot more serious. He's very impatient. And they even reference in this that he's at least 400 years old.
Yeah.
And one thing, too, they mentioned that he aged 10 years and 76 years. So if you do the math on that, it takes... Flag years. It's 7.6 days for him to age 1 day. So he ages about... it takes him about a week to age a day.
7.65. 7 1 week. Yeah. No, that's... Yeah. He's also absolutely evil in this book, too. There's no... Like you said, there's nothing charming about this character at all. There's nothing that would mislead you.
He's a villain with a capital V.
Yes. The other people in the castle look at him with fear as opposed to... He's a leader.
Evil magician.
Yes. He is literally described as a magician.
And he's based on the Sympathy for the Devil Rolling Stone song, where he's kind of this mischievous guy that's just been at all the major points in history. And I wondered if... Because this is the first version we see, if over time he's just gone crazier and crazier, and that's why his humor is so present in the more contemporary books.
It's possible because, every time Flag comes back, he kind of forgets where he comes from, too.
Sure.
So I'm sure that also plays into it, especially down the line.
We get the intriguing line on 138 of my book that starts, Flag, who had perhaps never been a boy.
I like that.
Where did he come from?
God, don't say that loud, Mel, because we're going to get a prequel book now of his childhood. Like, well, he was a boy. Here's all about it.
Flag Rising.
It is interesting, too.
Oh, Jesus. But it's still the Hannibal Rising cover. Like the young boy with the thing on his face.
It's interesting, too, just we mentioned the transition from boyhood to manhood, and then calling out specifically that the villain has never made this transition.
Was never innocent.
Yeah, and I like that he continuously has bad dreams throughout, and then at one point he even says, he thinks he thinks he has a bad dream, he wakes up from it. And he thinks it might be from a past like long forgotten. So he knows that he's been around forever. Maybe he doesn't even know where he comes from, which I think is the best.
Yeah. I like this. I'll read this brief passage here about Flag. King writes, he wanted what evil men always want, to have power and use that power to make mischief. Being a king did not interest him because the heads of kings all too often found their ways to spikes on castle walls when things went wrong. He hooded his actions just as he hooded his face. And when the great trouble came, as it always did after a span of years, Flag always disappeared like shadows at dawn. Later, when the carnage was over and the fever had passed, when the rebuilding was complete and there was again something worth destroying, Flag would appear once more. That's literally his whole story in the Stand.
And he kind of ties into the, like in the Lord of the Rings, Wormtongue. Which is like a fantasy creature that whispers in the ear of the king, and he holds the actual power without having to, wear the crown.
Evil advisors are the best.
I love them.
It's a good job.
It's just, it's scary, right? Because they don't want to be king, like you said, like King said. Like they're like the Joker.
Flag
is
watch
the world burn.
Flag is the Steve Bannon.
Watch the world burn.
The Steve Bannon of the Stephen King universe is Flag.
I wonder what Steve Bannon's doing right now. You think he's listening?
He's probably at the gym.
Listening
to our podcast. Well, thanks for listening again, Steve. Thanks for all those nice emails you keep sending us too. God bless you. Now, the big thing about Flag, obviously, in this book is that he's a bad guy. No, he's the one that plants the poisonous dragon sand in Peter's childhood box, framing Peter after he kills or is responsible for the death of King Roland earlier on in the book. And of course, Thomas might have witnessed that particular murder too, which did not help his psyche.
No, it did not. You also forgot to mention that Flag has a two-headed parrot.
Love it.
Yeah, Click and Clack. No, the parrot is not named.
That would be great. Enough click clack. I have to make this dragon sand.
Silence, Click Clack.
Dan, can you do a quick imitation of Bronson Pinchot doing Flag in the audiobook?
Oh, yeah. So he really, he's an incredible voice actor. Yeah. And he really dragged out the S's. It almost has like a sinister lisp. Like he'd be like, get that fool out of my place.
Oh,
very Slytherin.
But it makes sense in the context of this book because once again, there's no what's the expression I'm looking for? Bottom line is he's a bad guy. He's evil. There's no question about it. So to have him sound that sinister makes total sense there.
Yeah. And the only time they break that is toward the climax, which we'll get to. But as he's racing toward Peter, he was Peter.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if the book elongated the spelling, but they definitely pushed these words.
They definitely italicized his stomping up the stairs.
Looks like Snape in that one photo.
He really, or just photo Mac.
The illustration. He looks
HD
so lifelike.
We're willing it into existence.
I also like this little description because Eyes of the Dragon refers to obviously the slain dragon that King Roland kills. The eyes, quote unquote, that Thomas looks through to see his father killed. But there's also maybe one other thing here. This is from the book, believe it or not. The book, The Eyes of the Dragon.
This is from the book.
Now, Peter thought, his blood pounded in his temples, his heart raced hotly in his chest. I must try to slay another dragon, a much greater one with that same arrow. Maybe the Eyes of the Dragon is actually Flag.
Flag is like everything.
Yeah. Everything is everything. Love Flag. Yeah. Happy to see him here.
I mean, he's not complicated, right?
No, especially this version.
Did you guys find him scary?
I did.
In the context of this book, yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think when the...
It's a fun scary.
Yeah, when the desperate housewife, or midwife, I should say, when her son has the shaking illness and she goes to him, just the way they describe his apartment or whatever, his loft... there's
his loft.
His draw, it's like his timeshare.
I got a great deal in this place.
Yeah, no, but there's like symbols on the ground, and when you blink, they move. You've got the two-headed bird, and just like the
click and clack,
the amount of apathy he feels toward this kid who's suffering. Even when he gives him the medicine, he's like, "Get that fool out of here."
Yeah,
spooky.
He saves the kid though.
He does save because he gets what he wants.
For a dark favor.
And granted, Sasha gets killed because of it, but other than that, he's a great guy.
I do like how Flag himself has things in his dungeon that are too dangerous for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he knows of forces beyond his ken. Like, that's creepy. There's actually some Lovecraft references in here, too. Yeah.
Can I mention one of those?
Please.
So the book he's reading, it's believed to be the Necronomicon.
Yes.
Which at one point they reference, I have the quote somewhere, but they reference the writer from the H.P. Lovecraft who wrote the book. He's like, it was the book from blah, blah, blah. I'll find the name.
Found in human skin.
Abdul al-Zared, the fictional character created by H.P. Lovecraft called the Mad Arab, who created the Necronomicon. So when he's actually reading that book...
it's a definite nod to Lovecraft. Lovecraft, of course, was a great writer and maybe one of our more famous racists.
Yeah.
Great writer, great racist. Great in the sense of large.
Yes, large.
His racism was very big.
Not lauded.
No.
Wonderful. Any other words about Flag who will inevitably be brought up again within this section, I'm sure? Or should we move on to Peter? Peter? Is it Peter time?
It's Peter time.
It's Peter time.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Let's talk about PBJ himself, Prince Peter.
Oh, he's so boring.
I thought you were going to say
Mel,
so
you want to
dreamy.
lead us off?
He's so boring. I mean, he's just the perfect boy. He just is smart. He's patient. He's born to be king. He doesn't let much rattle him. And when he is rattled, it's appropriate. Like, oh, he cries over his dead dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of myself in him.
A young Flieger.
It's tough. It's a tough read on it for him because, like, at least with Thomas, because he's got problems and things going on, you can kind of relate or try to see it from his angle, maybe. But Peter's just like too good through and through.
Again, it's such a black and white book. I mean,
Yeah.
Flag is absolutely evil. Peter's absolutely good, you know?
But he tries so hard with Thomas to be like, this is what people are actually like. There are the
Yeah.
shades of gray that are important to underline.
Yeah.
Peter doesn't get any of that because Peter exists to be like a paragon of excellence and a lesson.
Like, he makes no mistakes, really.
Yeah. Something else I got from that, too, is a little Dickens, a little Tale of Two Cities, even though obviously they don't look alike. You got the kind of fledgling person who makes good in the very end, and you've got the perfect person who kind of needs that person's help. I don't know. I love Tale of Two Cities. Whenever I can bring it up, I like to bring it up. But the one thing I do like about Peter, yeah, he's perfect, but you figure this character when you're reading, at least I do, is that he's going to save the day by doing what other princes and other novels do. He's going to find the secret sword. He's going to go on the rampage. He's going to murder everybody. He's going to kill everybody.
We're doing Rampage.
We're doing a rampage. He's going to take that sword. He's going to battle it out. But the fact that this perfect guy, Mr. Strong King to be, or King in name only.
Mr. Strong King.
Mr. Strong King. Mr. Strong King.
That's the last name. Roland Strong
that's his name. Of
Yeah.
course.
Sounds like
Strong
Tommy
King.
Wiseau would be.
We just looked
Mr.
it up.
Strong King.
But the fact that I love what the King does here. I like the fact that he survives not because of violence at all, but because of a dollhouse and a lot of napkins. And I like that narrative choice there. Again, the character is, it's Peter. He's the prince and he's the good guy. So, but I like, my favorite part about this book is the fact that it kind of twists the fairy tale on its head. Is that right? Did I say that right?
Sure.
Turn it on its head.
Turns
How about turn on its head? Twisting and turning, same thing.
It's not your grandpa's fairy tale.
It really isn't.
It is, though. This is very fairy tale-ish.
It's your grandpa's fairy tale.
It's Grandpa King's fairy tale.
Yeah.
But I really love the napkins and dollhouse aspect of the story.
I mean,
God,
is he
you've mentioned
trying
that
to get at
3 or 4
something
times.
Where I mean, he uses the word sissy all the time to describe the dollhouse. Like,
Yeah.
I think he's really trying and like not fully succeeding, but I admire the effort to be like, you don't have to be masculine hunter man all the time. Sometimes you need your napkin and your tiny loom.
Yeah.
And resourcefulness is what it's really about.
Right.
Yeah, no.
I think is a good lesson. Peter is just a personification of justice. Like, I feel like we're only on Peter's side because we're like, oh, that's so unfair.
Well, that's true. It's true. It's again, there's no mystery about it. This isn't like, you want to talk about this a little bit too, Mel, with Shawshank. For a lot of the book, we don't know if Andy actually killed his wife or not. We're just kind of with him in the story. But this is, we absolutely know Peter's innocent. We absolutely know he should be king.
Well,
and he should absolutely be out of that tower,
And that's kind of my problem with the book. Is there's so much foreshadowing and so much where he's like, but Thomas isn't, well, we'll let you decide at the end because Thomas.
There's a lot of the
maybe
defense of
Thomas
him,
is
yeah.
actually, not as bad as we're saying it. And I'm like,
did kill that dog.
He leaves nothing to the imagination, really. Like, he kind of just over explains all the way. So, and then takes forever to get there. And I think the problem with the book is it's a little too long. And I'm going into my wrap up.
Well,
No, but you're right that there's multiple foreshadowings of the same instance. Like, one detail gets like 5 call forwards.
I agree. Especially, and there's that constant, we'll talk about Thomas in a second, but I want to say this about Peter, is that Peter was born out of actual lust that was aided by, I've got written here, aided by triumph and happiness earlier on. That's what we found out about him. Killed the dragon.
Ate the dragon heart. Natural aphrodisiac.
Exactly. And then we find out, though, do we want to move on to Thomas?
Yeah.
Let's move on to Thomas.
He's not a bad boy.
Do we want to
He's
talk
a
about
sad
Dragonheart
boy.
Oh, he's a super boy. Yeah, let's talk about Dragon Eyes.
Dragonheart.
The film Dragonheart?
Yeah, with Sean Connery.
I'm the last one.
Starring David
A
Thewlis.
knight is sworn to valor.
I do love David Thewlis in that movie. That was my first introduction, I think, to Thewlis.
Real quick for Dragonheart, hopefully the Dragonheart theme's playing under this right now as we speak.
Mike.
How many days do you think Sean Connery was in the studio doing maybe 3 hours? maybe 3 hours doing his ADR.
I despise you for even implying that he
You
did
think he was
not
on set?
pour his
Wait, hold on.
soul
He
into
poured
that
his
film.
Do you think
poured
he was
his whole
on set?
Dragonheart into that
I
movie.
think he wore horns and wings to do some brand of method acting, and
Do you think 65-year-old Sean Connery was wearing like an all green suit for like
I think
mocap?
65-year-old Sean Connery wrote the whole script.
Whoa,
And
this is getting deep.
I really love Dragonheart.
I saw that in theaters
Me too.
24 years ago, right? And so
Those special effects still kind of hold up.
we're celebrating the 24-year anniversary of me having last seen it.
Aren't there like
Congratulations
4
to you both.
sequels?
There
to
are
that?
sequels. There are sequels. Have you seen the
Yeah,
sequels?
I've never seen any of the sequels.
I have not seen
Can't
them
bring
either.
myself
Is
to
it
Like
do that.
Dragon kidney? Like, what are the...
Yeah.
Dragon leg.
Rain of Fire is one.
Hey.
Just kidding.
I enjoyed Rain of Fire,
Hey,
actually.
Rain of big rain head. No, I'm kidding. I actually I
We
did
call you
like
the
that
Rain
movie.
Man.
What is it? That's like Christian Bale and McConaughey, right?
Yeah, Bale McConaughey.
Who is also Randall Flagg.
And we're back, ladies and
And
gentlemen.
we are back full circle in the Stephen King podcast, The Losers Club. So, Thomas was not born out of lust. He was born out of rape. I don't know if you remember this, because Flagg drugged the king, and King Roland went, what can I say?
Is it uncomfortable talking about
there's no
this?
I feel really uncomfortable talking
It
about
says
this
he
every
hurt
single
her.
time. He hurt her, but yeah, she was not.
as
She was
rage
not
in his eyes.
She was not into it at all. I'll put it that way. And Sasha dies in childbirth, giving birth to Thomas.
Well, because she's murdered by the midwife.
I also-
pretty much,
She sure was.
indirectly.
And that's another part we'll talk about in the cemetery. That was,
I also think that, like, was he trying to say anything with that? Because I feel like that's kind of unfair to say, like, you know, like the product of something like that.
I think it's more about the
Is
fact
that-
that he was drugged, though, and whatever poisons he
Flags,
used.
potion.
Potion, yeah.
so
Drank a
That's what
ton of
maybe
it.
the potion had something to do with
Yeah, I
the way
think
Thomas
that's
turned
what
out
the
or
reference
something.
was. I don't think it was saying,
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
that Mel was talking, we were discussing the idea of like destiny earlier. And it's like, yeah, if you're conceived after your dad eats a dragon heart, you're going to have this energy. And if you're conceived
set.
after the Randall Flagg version of like Spanish Fly or whatever,
Yeah.
you're going to be evil. Like, it's just, they're predestined. And like, that's why, so Thomas,
Spanish flag.
yeah, Spanish Flag. I consider Thomas a villain in this. Once he killed the dog, I just lost a lot of sympathy.
100% true. Because I've said this many times, it's harder for me to watch a dog die on screen than it is to watch a child die on
I think that's true of many people.
Dogs are always innocent. They're always innocent, whereas a child will eventually grow up to become an evil person.
See, I think I don't know if he's the villain. I think he's total victim of Flagg, but I think that because he turns a blind eye to what he absolutely sees and knows is true, it's hard to like give him any leeway the
Oh my
whole
God,
entire book.
I think he's the most interesting and relatable character of the entire book.
Yeah.
I love Thomas. And I think it's because King makes any sort of effort towards making him believable and making his motivations clear. And
Guy wants to get drunk, you know?
well, sure. But it's also just a great, I feel like if he tries to do all these fable-y lines with Roland and Peter and Flagg, but Thomas is really where the good lessons come out, right? It's like, kids, of course you would feel shitty if your dad loved your brother more than you. Of course you would feel great if you got crowned king and got to say nah to your brother up in prison. But that's shitty. Don't do that.
No, yeah.
Then you'll end up like Thomas, and he gets redeemed at the end of the book, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
I think
he
does.
actually has a
Yeah.
fucking arc. Like,
He does.
He does.
He is definitely. I mean, he's definitely the most interesting character in the book, to say the least.
And I think people alluded to earlier, King always says, while Thomas is sometimes cruel, often sad, almost always weak, he's not necessarily bad.
He's a sad boy.
well,
not
he
a
says you
bad boy.
should pity him, right? But
Yes,
again,
yeah.
that frustrates me because I want people to be angry with Thomas. I don't want to pity Thomas.
Oh,
I want
but
to
I'm
believe
angry.
that Thomas has free will, right? Like, I want to believe that he could have changed things and he chose not to.
So let
Goes back to
me
my Pet
ask you
Sematary
this
argument.
then. My question, maybe you were going to go the same route here. At the very end, if you were Peter, do you forgive Thomas?
Oh, fucking Peter. I hate him. No. I mean, I would.
Peter, of course,
As
Peter.
well,
forgives
Peter
Thomas.
would not forgive-
Peter would definitely forgive him.
No
Obviously,
would throw
but-
Thomas in the tower.
and to the needle.
You go where all
To the
sad
needle
boys
with
go.
you.
The tower.
Oh, so sad.
Oh. It's fake. You're going to the
Yeah,
tower.
he redeems himself, with heroic actions.
Yeah.
But I think he also gives himself his own punishment by choosing to pursue Flag. He kind of banishes himself, and he understands that the people in the kingdom don't like him. Like, he caused a lot of hurting and suffering and taxes. And I think he knows, like, this is...
Taxes, arguably, worst of all.
I like Dennis's I like Dennis's relationship to him and how that develops at the end, because it makes him more human. You know, when you have someone that also kind of sees the good, like you were a good master to me, you just made some bad decisions with everything else, kind of thing, you know?
I mean, no one's denying that Thomas sucks.
Yeah.
Like, at least we get some insight into his flaws. And
You made a good point with the arc thing too, Mel, because he does have a genuine arc in this.
He really does have the most...
He's not as cut and
realized
dry
arc.
as the other characters are.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. He's like the only realized character. Like,
maybe that's why he's so frustrated. Like, why is something wrong with me? Who am I?
You think, because you spend a decent amount of time with like Pena and Ben, but
Is it Pena? What the hell's this? What's the name?
Anders Pena. Yeah. And they don't. Even though we have a lot of scenes with them, we still don't really know. You don't really get a lot.
I feel like King just really wants to. He always is striving to explain Thomas because he's, I guess, worried that we're going to misinterpret something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
It's like, I can misinterpret him killing a dog.
Yeah.
I guess that's where the real
trip on it.
But he go like that scene is awful, and I also have a hard time reading it. But he really does go into like the most. I had this in word processor. He says something like, part of Thomas wanted to love the dog and make it his peony, like Peter had a horse that he loved forever, and part of him just wanted to like beat the crap out of it, and like. We've kind of all been at that crossroads, not the animal abuse crossroads.
Oh my! I've killed plenty of dogs. Yeah, I hate it.
That's where I started killing.
I would never
things.
kill a dog.
Yeah, of course. No, God, no.
But I also thought it was interesting too, the tie-in that whenever a character in Stephen King makes like a sailboat, it's not a good thing, because like if you think about never make a sailboat. Georgie gets pulled into the sewer. Thomas ends up killing a dog. It's just not. It's a recurring theme.
At least Georgie didn't kill a dog in it. He just got murdered.
There's dogs down here, Georgie.
Yeah, that's right. Mac, you touched upon the other characters of this book, which we can kind of just lump them all together. Ben, I mean, seriously though, Dennis, Ben, and Naomi kind of form this little trio of people trying to break Peter out. Now they're kind of like, you think you described them as the wildlings earlier in allusion to Lord of the Rings?
Well, Naomi. Game
Lord of the Rings. I mean, which again, Game of Thrones. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Here's my problem with the book. I'm much more interested with what's going on in the kingdom as opposed to everything going on surrounding the kingdom. So for me, a good deal of, I guess, the latter half of the book, with all the Ben and Naomi stuff going on, and with some of the Dennis goings on, I don't know.
See,
does it need to be there?
I felt
this
the
could have been
other
much
way.
shorter.
I felt the other way. Although I agree with you, it could have been a lot shorter.
Yeah.
I didn't mind those parts. I just wish they were fleshed out more. I actually, because I don't know, that stuff kind of reminded me more. And again, I'm reading these out of order of like the Went Through the Keyhole stories. You know, like absolutely like oh, here's a fairy tale, and you know, we're gonna send Ben out to find, and then just I don't know. I liked that journey. It didn't go anywhere really, and you didn't develop the characters enough for us to really care.
Couldn't you have just combined the characters of Dennis and Ben?
I don't know. I feel like he wants
because
to. This goes along with the King thing. It has an unfortunate flip side of like Dennis was born to be a good servant.
Yeah,
like it's really fucked up.
Yeah. And then Ben's like the best friend beyond best friends. That's in the you know, he gets, his father hits him because he's like saying that, you know, he'll never not believe that, you know, that Thomas, God Christ, that
I know what you're saying.
Peter, you know, he stands by Peter through thick and thin.
Yeah,
and it's, you know, it's everybody's kind of like the picture book version of themselves, you know?
But just combine the characters. I think you could combine those characters. I don't think.
I think they wouldn't have an end.
There were some
the
times
castle later on.
They could have just combined the characters. Like Ben has an end or Dennis has an end. That's it.
Yeah. When I was thinking back, like there would be times where I'd kind of confuse them in my head.
I absolutely
just didn't
did.
care enough to really.
No,
I would too.
Yeah.
Like even towards the end, I'd be like, "Wait, who's alone in the castle and who's with Naomi?"
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Ben and which
There
one's
was,
Dennis?
you know, we've read a lot of King here, but this is one of the strange instances where we did not know. I shouldn't speak for everybody. I was honestly getting. I have to look at the notes here. Getting Dennis and Ben confused throughout the latter half of that book.
I also think that for a book with all these pictures in it, couldn't we get a picture of each of those characters?
No, we do at the very end.
Or a map.
Oh, the very end when
Where
it's
I
not
can't even
helpful
point
at
out
all.
who Dennis is and who Thomas is
Yeah,
and who anybody
exactly.
else is.
Yeah. But I would have liked a map because some of the locations were hard to.
Yeah.
Like when they were traveling through the snowstorm and they're like, wait, you left at 2:00 yesterday. I'm like, wait. What are these distances we're
It
covering?
just felt, the whole book felt like they were just literally on the outskirts of the kingdom, but they were literally like days and days away in some instances. So yeah, it was very confusing in those moments for me. But yeah, and the side characters, I'm sure as Naomi King and Ben Straub were reading it, they were probably like, ooh, it's me, it's me, I'm Ben. And she's like, oh, I'm Naomi.
Stephen King's like, now get married.
We'll get to the embarrassing moments between those two that I'm sure they were cringing about in a special section I'll be announcing later on in this. Obviously,
I want to talk about Pena.
Yeah,
though,
go ahead.
If
Yeah,
we're
definitely.
done with Naomi and Dennis. Pena, second most interesting character because he is given some conflict. He is this person who's really interested in justice as an ideal that exists outside of himself and his emotions and other people's emotions, but he has to reconcile that with the instinct that Peter is this undeniably good person, and he has to atone for a horrible mistake he makes. And I don't know. I feel like he's interesting.
he does have an unexpected arc. I thought that once the sentence came down, we would never see that character again. So I was actually kind of surprised when he kept popping
I
back
think
up.
he's the closest thing to a father figure in this book because he's a flawed man, but he redeems himself. And I think in a lot of by helping Peter escape at the end, he's kind of showing this is what a man does. You can make a mistake, but then you have to make up for it.
Yeah, no, I like that. And it's Anders Pena, right? I kept getting him mixed up with Anders Holm, the comedian.
Oh, from Workaholics?
From Workaholics, yeah. Very confusing. Very different people, by the way.
It could be in the Stephen King universe the same person. So
It could be.
Also, he deigns to joke around with his butler, who is so clearly beneath him.
I love that sequence though. When he comes back and there's the knock at the door again, and then he's like, "Oh, you sure it's not another dwarf child or whatever?"
Dwarf
You
child.
fucking imbecile.
You fucking asshole.
And
Get out of here.
you know the butler has no humor about it at all.
It's your stereotypical butler.
Let's just say it's not Alfred and Bruce Wayne.
Well, let's just say
I
it's
think
not.
it is. I think he's like, oh, you.
Some people just want to watch The Wild Ben.
Oh, the second time we've referenced that.
Reference Michael
The
Caine.
size of a tangerine.
She was only 16 years old.
16 years old.
And all you had to do was blow the bloody doors off. We all love the trick.
It's not nasal enough the way
It's
you're
not.
doing it.
It's very emotional indeed. Very emotional indeed.
And you don't do the broken voice.
I'm not going to bear another Batman.
I could
Okay.
see both of those actors being in this.
You think Michael Caine
I
would
could
do
see
two
I could
roles?
see one man show.
Just Michael Caine doing Peter with this really lame brown wig up in the tower. Oh, I've got my napkins.
And Sasha sounded a little something like this.
But I think
Don't
Coogan.
cut
I
me.
think Coogan could be a really good flag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
just the long hair that's making us say that.
It is, but it's I can see Cougs, my good friend.
The Coogster.
But yeah, Payne is interesting. I like him. Side note, one of my favorite parts of the story is when Pena and Peter are communicating via letter. I feel like Stephen King is really good at writing written correspondence between people, and that was
Oh yeah.
not a lot was happening, but I was like, I fucking love these letters.
And this, I don't know where we would talk about this, but I really also like the locket that he finds in the story there about knowing that this has happened before. And I love when he fleshes out the world a little bit more there.
That reminded me of there's a great scene early on in It when Ben's introduced, and sometimes King does this and it gets a little let's move the story along. But Ben is talking to a bartender in It when he's an adult, obviously not young Ben.
Right.
And they kind of flesh out the bartender, but it's an interesting way. It just fleshes out the world. I really love that passage. I'm looking forward to talking about It, which I think came out in '86, which I hope are only a couple years away. We're getting there.
That's not true. It's really actually approaching fast.
Oh my God, we're only 3 months away, I think, from talking about It.
And that's going to be like a 7-part
Oh
journey.
my
I don't know what we're going to do.
Buckle in. We're going to have to figure out the format of that.
Basically. Anyway.
Oh my God. But
Eyes of the
anyway,
Dragon.
Eyes of the Dragon. We're back on the Eyes of the Dragon. So
Any other characters we want to talk about?
we touched upon Sasha. She's mentioned to in flashback mostly, of course. Her death is pretty awful, and I want to talk about that a little bit in the cemetery later on. But
I get that she's like also resourceful and cool, but she's also just the archetype of like the good, simple woman. Like, she's like a peasant woman.
Who,
and
Naomi?
She's just, no, Sasha.
It's like the Guinevere, you know?
yeah.
She marries
No,
into this.
Guinevere's like smart and beautiful. Sasha's like this homely, like maternal, just dumb nurturer. Like,
I don't know, but she's not necessarily dumb, though, right?
she is. She's like, she doesn't know any. Like, that the whole point, the whole reason he chooses her is because she's like not intimidating. And even the napkin lesson is like a very simple lesson that she doesn't know its implications.
Well, of course not,
Like,
yeah.
she's just like,
Well, you have some manners. Put some napkins on your lap, jerk.
I had to laugh because there's a scene where page 19, anybody?
Oh.
She says, oh, bother Flag and bother all the nobles of Delain. And bother is used quite a bit by J.R.R. Tolkien.
That's very
my
true.
first little Hobbit reference. That is a stretch and a half. But...
also used by Winnie the Pooh.
yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think that she's the strongest character in this.
Well, she's not even a character. She's just, hey, remember Sasha? This is what she did. She gave birth to these kids.
She's just good. That's why Flag can't stand her, is because he knows that she'll actually stand up for what's right. And so he's like, ugh, gotta get rid of this bitch.
No, she's the perfect person to give birth to Peter because they're both
Yeah.
very one-dimensional. They're just archetypes of, the noble princess who cares about people.
That's why she
Very
couldn't
much a
live
fairy tale idea
to the birth of
to the king. That's sort of
Sad Thomas.
Yeah,
as it were. Any other characters still in this? I mean, there's some other jerk
the
characters.
chief
but come on.
warder.
Yeah, Basin.
Oh, yeah. Who's the one? I don't have the name here. The one that is it Basin who antagonizes Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beson. It's anyone's guess how you pronounce that, but
Was it a flower? Basin.
Besson?
Bason.
Basin.
Bason.
Oh, Basin. You'd like my horse. That's my imitation of a Frenchman, I guess.
Sorry,
Sure.
French
I
listeners.
We
do
haven't offended
I
everybody
do
tonight.
like the sequence where Peter saves the horse. Because I feel like that is the first instance where you're like, oh yeah, this
guy's in the up and
this
up.
guy could be a really cool king. And then I like how he wins the respect of that horseman. I don't think
Yeah, he recognizes like the kingly qualities that he has, even when
he calls him the young king, right?
Yeah, and I think kind of the way he treats the horse is sort of how he ultimately treats Thomas. Whereas people would have been like, "Hey, we need to get rid of this guy," and he's sort of like, "No, you know what? Like, we can rehab him."
Wait, was King kind of trying to do a weird foreshadow there?
Oh my god, the foreshadowing was like slapping you in the face.
That's out of
I'm
character.
telling you,
for Stephen.
every chapter ends with some bit of foreshadowing.
Flag held his left eye because it was in pain. He didn't quite know why yet.
But he would in 35 pages when an arrow would fly through it. Yeah, or a
That's more
locket
like
would fly
Justin.
through it.
That's more like
His
it.
Thank
eye
you very
felt
much.
like an arrow had flown through it.
With a locket involved somehow.
Yeah, we were tearing
what's
this
that
down.
locket? Do you hear that noise?
Yeah, what is that?
It sounds like a creaking gate opening. Wait, how the hell did we end up in the cemetery?
What's the bottom of the truth?
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back. It may look like that person, but it ain't that person. Because whatever lives in the ground beyond that cemetery.
Now, Mel, off mic, you were talking about how terrified you were by this book, and King truly held you in his icy grip, apparently.
It's true. I said I haven't slept in days. No, but I have a couple cemetery entries.
Do you want to start it off?
This book isn't very scary, but there are passages that gave me a slight shiver. One is, I think, one that Dan actually already mentioned. And I'll let him read that one, actually, if he wants to. I'll skip to my next one, but it's the intro to Flag's Dungeon. So Dan will do that one, but I'll skip to my next one, which is also a Flag thing. It's when Flag is remembering a magician who tried to change
Oh
shape.
man, that was mine too.
Sorry, Mac. I'm
No,
actually
take it
gonna do
away.
one.
This is gruesome.
And I think this is kind of just like this glimpse into a horrifying reality that King allows us. Like, there's just these little nuggets that if a kid really thought about it, they would be very scared.
Yeah.
He had once known a great Anduin magician who believed he had mastered the trick of changing his shape, but after 6 months of meditation and nearly a week of incantations and a series of agonizing body postures, he uttered the last awesome spell and succeeded only in making his nose nearly 9 feet long and driving himself insane. And there had been fingernails growing out of his nose, Flag remembered with a grim little smile. Great magician or not, the man had been a fool.
That man's name was Pinocchio.
Fingernails growing out of his nose. That's what got me.
9 foot long nose,
That's
and
what
you're
got me.
insane.
I love the body horror and that a lot.
Ugh.
That's some good stuff.
Body horror messes me up too. And the fingernails in the nose, that was a good King
Good touch. Good touch, King. I just feel like the first draft didn't have the fingernails. The second we went,
He's like, wait.
But you're right.
wait for this, Ben and Naomi. Check this out.
You are right to mention Pinocchio, though, going back to the fairy tale thing.
Yeah.
And I think this is King's little twist on it is he's got fingernails coming out of it.
One might say he's dragging some nails down a chalkboard during that sequence. Mac, did you have something there?
Yeah, well, I actually, I'll bring that up in a little bit. There's something about the shape shifting. On page 248, Dennis's realization that he may be following a walking corpse.
Sleepwalking is scary.
When Thomas is sleepwalking and he's following him down around, and he starts to think maybe at some point he died, and now I'm just following this like corpse around, and that really kind of creeped me out. Or just the idea of following someone, and at any moment they could wake up, and I think that would eventually like creep me out.
I think we talked about in Cujo how just like the idea of sleepwalking is scary. Like, if I encountered a sleepwalker, I would like scream bloody murder.
I won't bring it up. I won't talk about it again. But my best friend is a big sleepwalker.
I think you told this story on Cujo.
Yeah.
So go back and listen to Cujo if you want to hear that story.
Good episode. Dan, did you have something?
Yeah, so we kind of already hit on Flag's condominium.
It's a beautiful condo.
How does he afford it?
I always love like the side stories where it's like, oh, what's this book? Oh, what? There's like this weird creature. Oh, and I love when those are dropped in and not over-explained. But one thing I did want to talk about was the dragon sand.
Yeah, I've got that too. Go ahead.
And, even yesterday there was a poisoning where a former Russian spy was killed with like polonium. And it's just like a highly radioactive substance, right? And once you get exposed to it, you are, can we curse on here?
Yes,
You
please.
are screwed.
Tone it down a little bit, please.
Polonium.
You are fucked
Is
up.
it named after the Hamlet character?
Yeah, it's like a just
Rosencrantz was
highly
taken.
radioactive substance. And in this, they don't really explain what dragon sand is. It's clearly got some kind of magical implications. But it also, when they're disposing of it, they're like, put it in like a barrel, put it in the middle of the lake. And Flag even says like, that's going to be someone's problem 100,000 years from now, but we're not going to deal with it. And that's very much like nuclear waste disposal. Right. And in the sewer sequence, they mention that even though it's been 5 years, there's no more rats in the sewer just because they drained the dragon sand out through
Like
there.
3 grains of it.
Just 3 grains, which is enough to make it radioactive. And the narrator implies, I think is Ben the first one or Dennis?
Yeah.
Whoever climbs through, I think Dennis climbs through.
Again, I don't know. Is it Ben? Is it
It's
Dennis?
Dennis.
Who knows? It could be either one.
It's Dennis. It's Dennis climbs through and
They imply that
notices
he
the
may
smell.
die because they are like, the rats had died and what happens to him? And he's like, that's a story for another time. And you're like, oh, he's got like radiation poisoning from going through that pipe.
Yeah.
Wait, that's so interesting with the stand under consideration too, and Flag's involvement with nuclear power.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Because this when was Chernobyl? I'm trying to think. Was that in
God.
the 80s?
Oh yeah, it was definitely.
But it might have been. I don't want to go. I can't. I don't want to mix up my dates. But I know nuclear power has always been a concern, and Stephen King's a little bit more of a bleeding heart. I feel like for environmentalism.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
So I think that there's a magical quality to dragon sand, but there's also just the real world consequences.
I like how over the top the results are too, where you literally catch on fire. It's like you feel like your lungs. No, your hair catches on fire. I like that. I actually like that a lot.
The Chernobyl disaster was 86.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, no, 84 is when the book came out, right? But and one other thing too is that they test the dragon glass on obsidian, which is volcanic rock, and in Game of Thrones it's called dragon glass.
Again, this was written before the first book, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I want to make that abundantly clear. It's before the first Game of Thrones novel came out. By what, 2 years?
No, I think the first one came out in 96.
96? No, right, okay, I got my decade mixed up. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Another Brother Grimm.
I've got
George R.R. Martin. Grimm.
I like this little passage here after Flag has that foreshadowing nightmare about his eye being in pain. On the knoll, not far distant, wolves howled in unison with Flag's cry. The soldier sleeping nearest Flag on the left died instantly of a heart attack, dreaming that a great lion had come to gobble him up. The soldier sleeping on Flag's right woke up in the morning to discover he was blind. I just love that description of how the powerful nature of Flag and what will happen if you sleep next to him. Apparently, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. Anybody have anything else? I've got one more thing. But
I had that same thing written down somewhere else, but it was for a different reason. So I'll have to come back.
once again, with the over-the-top nature of this book, I actually really like Flag stomping up the stairs.
Yeah.
It was very much like
creepy.
Three Little Pigs, you know? Mm-hmm. I thought it was very... You talked about earlier with Bronson Pinchot reading it quite effectively, right?
It's like, Peter, I'm going to take your head off.
I can picture it.
It reminded me a lot of Jack Torrance screaming, Danny!
Yeah.
Danny!
That's a definite King's Dominion thing.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
he calls him Whelp, which is something
Yes.
that Torrance
Which
does.
is what, yeah.
I love it. He's yelling like, there's a couple lines in there that read like, very soon now. You know, it's like very, it's like
You're getting hotter.
Like,
The Austin
no, I'm
Powers
thinking
steamroller.
the baby, like the babysitter, like the baby, like every once in a while, there's like a phone every 20 steps he picks it up. He's like, I'm done. See you in a minute. You know,
30 seconds to go. 10 more seconds.
very soon now.
Very Alice in Wonderland, the whole, like, I'm going to chop your head off.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
by that, as
He
villainous
even
and
has an
evil,
axe.
exactly as obviously evil as Flag is throughout the book, then there's absolutely no question how evil he is and how unrelenting he is by the end of it.
Yeah. When he used to be the executioner.
That's right. That's right. With the hood on. One other thing, I think Sasha's death is awful. It's Anna Crookbrow, who, of course, made that deal with Flag in his condominium earlier on in
The
the
desperate
in the
housewife
book.
of Delain.
Beautiful brick kitchen, by the way. That Flag's condo. It's written, so she went to Sasha and spoke encouragingly, and at a critical moment during her delivery, a little knife glittered in her hand. No one saw the one small cut she made. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. That's it. This is not a horror book by any means, but there's obviously some scary parts throughout. Anybody else have anything else for the old cemetery?
That's it. I think we can walk out of this cemetery. You know what I mean?
Well, let me close the gates behind us, and let me borrow somebody's laptop, because I got to check the word processor of the gods.
And we're going to make a new rule. Whenever I'm in here, you hear me typing. Whether you don't hear me typing, what the fuck you hear me doing in here, when I'm in here, that means that I am working. That means don't come in. Now, do you think you can handle that?
Yeah.
Fine. Why don't you start right now and get the fuck out of here?
Who wants to kick this off? Who has some passages of their favorite writing from this particular novel? Anybody have anything off the top of your head? Mel?
All of mine are about Thomas. And
Of
I
course.
already mentioned the dog scene, so I won't read that one out of respect for you, Justin. But
No, please.
I love the scene where he starts spying on his dad. Again, I just think it's so funny that King is so on the nose in a painful way when he tries to deliver his fairy tale lessons, but it's Thomas and the intricacies of Thomas's mind that deliver the most relevant lessons. So when he starts spying through the eyes of the dragon, because Flag has showed him how to do so, let's see here. Going away later with a pounding headache, as he almost always did, he would think, "Your head aches because you were seeing the way dragons must see the world, as if everything was dried out and ready to burn." And perhaps Flag's instinct for mischief in this matter was not so bad at all, because by spying on his father, Thomas learned to feel a new thing for Roland. Before he knew about the secret passage, he had felt love for him, and often a sorrow that he could not please him better, and sometimes fear. Now he learned to feel contempt as well. And it just goes into this long passage about how utterly mundane people are when they're alone, and how gross they are because they just pick their nose and fart and sit in their study and do nothing.
It's true. I do all of that.
That's just, I mean, the first time you realize that your dad, like, just sits around doing nothing and being a gross human, because we're all humans, is, like, a very humbling and also, I don't know, it's a
wake
moment
up.
when your hero has been knocked off the pedestal, I guess. And that's such an interesting passage to me.
I love that. I love every time Thomas looks through the eyes. I mean, obviously, everything that happens while he's looking through the eyes play a huge part in the rest of the book, too. Mac?
I just like the line here on page 167 of the Signet edition. It says, Thomas discovered two things, guilt and secrets. Like murdered bones, never rest easy, but the knowledge of all three can be lived with. And, that just spoke to me. I don't know. I like that line.
Real quick,
But
though,
I didn't...
What do you think? Like, again, I like this passage because it speaks to reality. Both of those, actually, because it's very much like not the telltale heart. Like, you can actually live with this guilt saddling you or whatever.
Right.
What do you guys fucking think Peter would do in that room if you spied on him? Like, he'd probably just sit there radiating light.
I literally hear the Peter and the Wolf theme. He's just sitting there. Dun, 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 dun. And then maybe he'd be messing with the napkins.
This is why I don't get, like, what is the message of this book? Like, he seems so concerned with delivering this message of, like, we're all human, we all pick our noses, but then it's like, fucking Peter is
does
not human.
30 pull-ups while he's spying on him.
He's just working out.
He's set. He's ready to go.
I think Peter's in that room strangling dogs.
Oh, God. And then throwing them out.
I think
throwing them out the window.
telling his father Thomas did it.
That was one of the deals that was made, that Peter gets dogs in his room for being a good prisoner.
Gosh.
And murders all of them. I have something here. I think one of you might have read a little bit of this passage, but I like this description here. Flag, being very old and very wise as well as very wicked, knew that even the deepest well has a bottom, and just because a thing is out of sight doesn't mean it's gone. It is there, resting at the bottom. And he knew that the caskets, those evil, frightening ideas, are buried and may rot, and the nattiness inside may leak out after a while and poison the water. And when the well of the mind is badly poisoned, we call the result insanity. Yeah. That's about right. That checks out.
Based on personal experience.
Yep. Checks out. Yes. Badly poisoned mind. That sounds right. Yep.
I had a couple that stood out. One, I just thought this was fun to read. But it was when Peter's climbing down the tower, and they say, his rope, his legs, his luck. Either all would hold or all would break. Quite possibly at the same time.
Quite possibly at the same time.
But I think that's especially like that's Stephen King. Sometimes you could tell when he's having fun, and it's like a very simple thing.
He's
it
joking
just
with
rolls
his,
off the tongue, and it's enjoyable. One that I really liked that was when Sasha was explaining the nature of man to Peter about the God versus the dog, and she says his mother pointed from God to dog. These are the two natures of man, she said. Never forget them. Our preachers say that our natures are plenty of God and partly old man split foot, but there are a few devils outside of made-up stories, Pete. Most bad people are more like dogs than devils. Dogs are friendly and stupid, and that's the way most men and women are when they are drunk. When dogs are excited and confused, they may bite, and when men are excited or confused, they may fight.
Yeah. Sasha's good for something. There you go. Yeah. Mel's like, maybe. Pretty nice, but
She just noticed they were spelled the same way. Like,
she said, if you reverse the letters,
oh my God.
I'm making a point. No, I do like that, actually.
I thought that was a good message, and it's something to keep in mind, how, the two natures of
And what's strange is that, despite that description, Thomas is the one that strangles and murders a dog.
Right.
He doesn't strangle
And his brother is a
the
god.
I'm sorry. What does he do? He
He like kicks it to death.
I apologize. He kicks it.
No, he throws rocks at it.
Yeah,
I was doing him a favor.
Pees on it.
Oh, even worse. It gets even worse and worse. Urinates on it.
Can I say there's one line, and I don't have the exact quote, but man, it was so clumsy.
Okay.
And it's such a mixed simile where they describe Peter. They're like, Peter's like a boy who left his lunch in the lion's den and had to go back in to retrieve it. But he wasn't even that hungry anymore. Like, what?
Why are you going back there?
But it's like, what are you talking about? Like,
oh, God. I really like the writing when Thomas fires the arrow at Flag at the end. It says, Thomas fires the arrow at Flag in his redemptive... Oh, this is what I actually wrote, which is actually very nice. I wrote, Thomas fires the arrow at Flag in his redemptive moment. And then it says, the arrow flew from the bow. As it crossed the room, it passed directly through the center of Levin Valera's locket, which still dangled from the stunned Peter's outstretched fist. The gold chain parted with a tiny chink sound. Now the arrow, Roland, bearing the heart-shaped locket of Valera on its tip, flew across Roland's sitting room and plunged into that eye. Good job. You painted the picture very well there in a couple sentences. It's the little things sometimes I like about this stuff.
I do like how in that climactic scene, no one notices Thomas in like the only chair in the whole study until he's firing an arrow.
What a heroic moment too! I can just see that on the big screen, like him jumping out of his chair. Not if I have anything to say about it.
I was like, "Whoa, holy shit!"
Oh Jesus, we're dead.
I'll take this moment to bring up this. I have it written here, Stephen King on that long bottom leaf. That's right, it's another Hobbit reference. Roland's premonition of death by fire, though, in the dream, it's from Niner the Dragon. The arrow's name is Fohammer, which is also Glamdring. Glamdring means Fohammer, and that's an elvish sword that... the old Gandalf.
Yeah, Gandalf retrieves
the Grey
that one.
has.
That's right.
So I thought that was interesting.
He obviously made a lot of allusions to this being a cross between, what was it, the Hobbit and
Lord of the Rings,
and something else. Yeah, something
And
else.
we would
huge.
obviously there'd be more of that in the Dark Tower series to come and whatnot.
Absolutely. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to point out from the old word processor segment?
I don't think so.
I like where we get to see inside Frisky's mind for a second.
Oh,
that reminded me.
Passage remembering the moment.
Just like when King lets us be a dog.
That reminded me of some of the Cooge moments when we're like in his.
It reminded me of some of the
roaming
old The Stand as well with the dog in the stand. You get a whole chapter with what's the name of the dog in the stand? I keep wanting to say Comet, but that's obviously from Full House.
Oh God,
Moon. I can't remember. There was one part with Frisky that I did like where he picks up the scent of the older person, but then he gets the young person's scent, and he's like, it smells more like...
Frisky is a girl.
Or, sorry. Yeah.
Now, again, though, in the
Strong woman character.
The 1984, remember, maybe Dan was listening to the 1984 version because, again, the genders kept going back and forth, so we don't know.
Yeah, but just like she said, like he had more of like a vital smell, or just there was it was more exciting.
The description of the scent is like this electric blue thing that she follows is kind of cool.
Oh. Maybe Electric Blue influenced REM's track 2 off of the Around the Sun album.
Sure it did.
Oh, maybe
Electric
it did.
Blue. Well, what else can I say? I think it's time to cue up some Van Halen because it's time to dive her down into some pound cake.
After all you've been taught,
Everyone in bed, Mama. Everything in the sin.
come to your closet and pray, ask to be forgiven.
He's a nice boy, Mom. You like him. You really like him, Mama.
Mel, I see you've got some things tagged here.
I'm so excited.
And you've been talking about this before we even recorded. So go ahead, and if you've got some of the some sexy time with Stephen King or disgusting time with Stephen King, go ahead.
One of my favorite trips to Pound Town in recent memory from King, page 3 of this book.
I feel like we might have the same thing here.
It is Roland going to Sasha for the first time to try and have sex with her.
Oh, yeah.
Because he doesn't really know what he's doing, but thank God Sasha is dumber than he is when it comes to sex.
Oh, God.
Doesn't even know what a penis is.
I forgot all about
here
this.
We go. Oh my God,
Oh,
it's
that's
so good.
right.
And I feel like King thinks this is a very sweet moment, and like maybe if I was less of a cynical person, I could grant that to him.
You and me both.
She had never seen a man with his drawers off before her wedding night. When, on that occasion, she observed his flaccid penis, she asked with great interest, "What's that, husband?" If she had said anything else, or if she had said what she said in a slightly different tone of voice, the events of that night and this entire history might have taken another course. In spite of the special drink Flag had given him an hour before, at the end of the wedding feast, Roland might simply have slunk away. But he saw her then exactly as she was, a very young girl who knew even less about the baby-making act than he did, and observed her mouth was kind, and began to love her as everyone in Delain would grow to love her. "It is King's iron," he said. "It doesn't look like iron," said Sasha doubtfully. "It is before the forge," he said. "Ah," said she, "and where is the forge?" "If you will trust me," said he, getting into bed with her, "I will show you, for you have brought it from the Western Barony with you, but did not know it. It's your vag."
You know, I've tried this line, and every single time I try it out, I just get this look at like the Western Barony. Anyway,
All I thought there.
yeah, obviously, I had the same thing written down, Mel. It's some of the best and some of the worst of King, right there.
Right?
I love it.
Like, depending on what mood I'm in, I'm either like, how sweet, or I'm like, shut it down.
I was shut it down the whole way. Man, it's some tough writing there.
I didn't write that down.
It gets it out of the way.
I was reading that and I thought, God, we're on page 3. Like I was like, I already started to take notes here.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of had to write this with one arm behind his back. You know, he's the horror master and he's writing a kid's fairy tale.
Exactly.
So there's some stuff in here that's like cheeky and naughty, but then at the same time you're like, oh, he used his iron kingswood to give his wife his seed, and you're like, wait, is that really something kids are reading about?
Like he's like reading it to Naomi, and Naomi's like, I don't know about this part, Dad.
But there's a lot of like pee-pee poo-poo jokes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was one where I can find this. Essentially, when they're defeating the dragon, you know, the fire goes for minutes and the men have to come extinguish it, and they use like water and beer and piss. And now that I think of it, the piss was mostly beer because Roland loved to bring.
If you drink too much beer,
it's just like you can see a little kid being like, "Oh, it's funny. It's like pee pee."
Love pee pee. I do love a good pee pee joke though.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Me?
Do you don't love a good pee pee
I'm
joke?
just sitting here cracking up.
No.
The pee pee tape.
A pee pee joke, like the pee
Stop
like
saying
drink too much
pee-pee.
pee.
Pee pee tape. The urine.
Well, I didn't have a lot because I think when I was reading it, I was kind of giving it that pass, and I wasn't really trying to focus in on that stuff, and I was just brushing over it. But when he eats the booger,
there you go.
Yeah, I've got that.
I couldn't do it.
He admires it beforehand like a gem.
Yeah, he's like
tips his
picked
hand,
out a
and
winner.
some readers, I'm sorry to say, he put them in his mouth right in there.
I also love a good booger joke.
It's like Caddyshack. He's going to eat it, I'll bet you.
Do it.
There's also a good vomit joke, or not really good, but they talk about another king bringing his jester over, and the king vomits into a bowl, and he's like, "Come, jester, feast on this fine soup." Oh, and you're just like, oh, that's another thing where a kid would be like, "Oh, he made him eat his puke, bro."
Bro.
They're like sending Flag up there, like, "You're the magician, you're the court jester, right?"
Eat it.
Like, no. I'm just the mage.
I won't.
Flag's
I
like,
won't.
The things I do.
I'll remain in the shadows, whatever it takes.
I can just see Flag sitting there snarling, just like eating, just like eating it.
a living.
Well, again, because this is somewhat of a children's novel, well, a young adult novel, there's not a whole lot of sex outside of that third page. So,
But that third page is like...
but it's like it's
like he couldn't stop himself.
It does not set the tone. I'll put it that way for the rest of the book. It does not set the tone. So, yeah, not a lot of pound cake this week. I wasn't that hungry anyway.
I have
so
one instance of really...
Oh.
just hated this. It's not even like pound cake as in vulgar.
It's uncategorizable.
It's just a dumb kingism.
This is an anti-word processor of the God moment.
Yeah. Well, I always thought of pound cake as just like moments that are bad.
Oh, well, hey, I usually have like it's like shit jokes or bad sex writing. But what do you have here, Mel?
Yosef, older, grayer, but still lively enough at 72, saw that all the king's horses were stabled. Presumably there was someone else to take care of all the king's men.
Oh, boy. That goes back to like the bad dad joke from earlier on. Yeah. And Naomi's like,
why is that in there?
Good job, Dad.
Fairy tale. But that's really forced in there.
It's like you have to lighten the mood. This is a light book.
Really,
this is like
Humpty Dumpty reference.
This is like
the classic Humpty Dumpty poll there.
Yeah.
This is like Pascal showing up and making jokes with a truck driver in the Pet Cemetery film or something like that. Well, anyway, that's enough for pound cake, right? There's nothing else. There's not a lot.
That was a quick helping.
But now it's time to move on to something I think we'll have a lot to talk about, which is a little section we call King's Dominion.
There's another world out there. I know there is.
There's a lot. There's a lot at King's Dominion. Who wants to kick this one off? Mac.
Love that King's Dominion. Okay, we've got on page 15. So this is something I want to put out there, but it's kind of a bit of a stretch. So he says, some 4 years after the birth of Peter on New Year's Day, a great blizzard visited Delain. It was the greatest save one in living memory. The other I'll tell you later. So early on in the book, I thought that they were talking about the blast that hits them in the wind through the keyhole.
Oh, yeah.
Like because there are a couple of times where he abandons stories, or he says a couple of things like, oh, this, that, but I'll tell you about that later, and he never talks about it. And so I thought maybe this is something he like went back to way later, but then obviously we know that's not the truth.
Let's do Dark Tower stuff first. I mean, there's a lot,
let's get
right?
that.
Yeah, sure.
That's a good start. So obviously, Flag.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, totally.
We talked about the name Roland earlier on. How about there's a mention of the ability to go dim in this, which we'll try to avoid major spoilers for Dark Tower books 2 through 7, but we'll just say that becomes a plot point.
And also the name Walter O'Dim.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Aren't Dennis and Thomas even mentioned in a later?
They are.
Yeah.
But it's one of those instances that Mac was talking about where we'll tell that story another time. So,
but the characters cross paths with certain
characters.
They're on their mission hunting Flag, and I think we're going to hear more from them down the road.
Yeah.
Also, is it coincidence that Delain sounds like Deshane?
No way. It's got to be. It's got to be deliberate. It's got to be deliberate. There's a lot of little things like that. That's what I'm saying. It's like this children's rendering of a larger tale.
On page 60, Flag looked into his crystal, which we can assume is probably some shape of wizard's class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Merlin's rainbow.
At one point, like he can't do it for too long, or it'll break. Or
right.
And with the pink grapefruit, not to get too ahead of it, but Rhea the Coos, who's a witch, sets a timer when she looks into it because even she knows you can get pulled in.
Dan, I'm glad you mentioned that because there's another section that says old wives cringed in their beds and slept poorly and told their husbands that Rhiannon, the dark witch of the Coos, was riding her hateful broom this night and wicked work was afoot. And so as early as Eyes of the Dragon, a certain witch of the Coos was mentioned. Again, no major spoilers, but I'm just saying there's a character that pops up in the Dark Tower later.
That shit sounds old though. Like I feel like that's predating King.
The Coos, though? That's specific?
Maybe a Rhiannon, I don't know.
Yeah. It sounds like
that's
Rhea.
very Arthurian.
Yeah.
There's also, I thought it was cool that Roland was such a big fan of hunting. And just loved the sound of the horn when he would go out.
Yes, the horn.
Not to get too into that.
Yeah.
And then just to bring it down to, I like some of just these little mentions. So they mention ironwood as a material. And if you recall, when Roland fights his teacher, Court's weapon of choice is an ironwood staff.
Yep.
So just having some of these materials exist within the universe, I thought was kind of cool.
Although they do say gunpowder is very scarce and valued highly in Delain.
That's interesting.
My next one is it's interesting. Page 71, they talk about the green sand from the desert of grain, dragon sand. Mentioning so the description of how it works is suddenly they're talking about this happening to a man. Suddenly his lungs would grow red hot, his skin would begin to smoke, and his body would shrivel like the body of a mummy. So I remember and I might be recalling this wrong, but in Drawing of the Three or the Wastelands, they come across, I think it's when they're getting on Blaine, they come across a mummified conductor and mummified corpses, and I wonder if this is the same poison that was used in that war scenario.
That's I just thought that was just a body had been left alone for so long, he just became kind of like a mummy looking thing. But that who knows?
Well, they do mention it's the wastelands, right? There's nuclear something happened there.
Yeah,
so
something
it could be some sort of radiation
poisoning. I think it was like a bomb.
There's another town they mentioned that starts with a G that's also in the Dark Tower, and I can't remember the name of it now.
Mel, you want to go next?
Well, I thought there were so many parallels to Shawshank in Peter and his patience and his steady and slow method of escape. The napkins. It's parallel, but with cutting things out with the rock hammer.
Yeah.
And also crawling in through the sewer pipe.
Yeah.
Good old Dennis and Ben crawling through a football yard's worth of shit, and I don't know what else or whatever.
I don't know what, and don't care to. Absolutely. Yeah, the whole prison thing alone, absolutely.
The idea of the slow escape, the meticulous.
Waiting forever.
Yeah, and asking people for tools that they're like, why do you want these? I don't know. It just seems harmless enough. The rock hammer or the napkin.
Yes. And also just Peter in general was like, he had a walk and a talk.
Peter was a good boy.
My name's Andy Dufresne.
In a medieval
love Andy.
time, he would have been a king.
No shots. That's pretty good, Mel.
That's a good Morgan Freeman.
Good Morgan. I've got some that might make people upset, but I'm going to say it anyway. So listen to these numbers. I'm a math freak.
Christ.
Oh, boy.
This is from the book.
Stop saying that.
On the 17th day of Thomas's reign, 17, Brandon's son Dennis brought the first of 21 napkins to the needle. What's the median of 17 and 21?
Get Out.
19.
That's right, 19. Get Out did win Best Original Screenplay, Mel. That's correct. I've got a really good one, though. I'm actually kind of happy with this one.
Okay.
All right. So Dennis, he supervises the payment of 1 guilder to make sure that Peter keeps receiving his napkins, right? Dennis Gilder is the name of the main character and one of the main characters in Christine.
I was going to bring up the Dennis Christine connection.
That's pretty good. Okay.
Nice.
Dennis is like the supporter of Arnie. He's kind of like Arnie's butler.
A fun butler. Butler. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I also thought that a few other things that were just kind of like parallels.
That bring you back from my median of 21 and 17?
Yeah, that really actually did. You've redeemed yourself. You're like,
a couple other things that were like parallels, like Ben and Naomi have shared dreams, kind of like in the stand.
Yeah, I like that.
There's even that line at the end of page 376 where he says, and there were times when they knew they had stood where their God had meant them to stand.
Wow, yes.
And
Randall Flagg thought this all
and
seems
Flagg fun. Also very much like the end of the stand, he disappears again at the end of this book.
Yep.
I let one on page 315. Flagg is referred to as some horrible it with it capitalized.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it was just right around the corner.
Anybody else have any real ones? 'Cause I got a couple
again,
here.
the Flag and Jack Torrance thing, I think, is like kind of weird.
Yeah.
And very real.
Yeah, totally.
Danny.
Daddy! And the whelp thing, right? That's what he says,
He says he calls him a whelp.
Yeah.
It's sort of outside the universe, but they do reference that Peter has a lightning bolt scar on his face.
That
I was going to say that's
J.K.
interesting
Rowling.
because he's also just such a huge J.K. Rowling fan too
Yeah.
now. So it's interesting that we think of that now, but
True.
He was there before.
All right, Mac, drop some Room 237. These are your absolute stretches.
I've only got
right?
a couple.
Okay.
I only got a couple, but in a dream.
Oh, God.
Page 224. In a dream Thomas has, he speaks with his father. His father tells him,
Oh, you can't even finish
this
it.
is not even funny.
Oh, God.
Dennis will know where the sleepwalker goes. Maybe he's a sleepwalker from Sleepwalkers.
Oh, my God. The Cat movie, directed by Mick Garris and written by Stephen King. Fantastic.
Okay, and then page 90. Flag lights his finger and the blue light scares Thomas, and Thomas throws his hands up to protect himself, thinking it's another one of Flag's bat tricks. And he says, "No bats, Tommy. Didn't I promise?" And so he calls him Tommy for short. Maybe he's a Tommy knocker.
Wow, okay.
I thought you were going to do another Shining thing.
I think something like, oh, you mean like the bats that scratched Cujo or something at least?
We've come up with better ones.
Justin, that would be a reach, Justin.
That's absurd. Yeah, do you have anything else on your end? We've mentioned a lot already.
No, I think we did.
Point.
The reverse of Shawshank in a way, going in the pipe versus leaving
Leaving
the pipe.
Yeah, that's good.
I guess just for me, I'm obsessed with the Flag mythology. So just getting any more of a clear idea of how old he is. So they mentioned that he'd been around 400 years prior to the events of this book.
Yeah.
Right.
And that this book takes place a long time before the Dark Tower. So you can assume now that he's this, thousands of years old. And it just gives us a little more insight to this idea that, he keeps reappearing. He is Merlin. He's the executioner. He kind of goes away and comes back. And I just think that's always cool to get. This is probably the most you get from Flag other than the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
This is the most I would want to get from him, too.
Most inner monologues of it.
Yeah, and the thing that I like about that is, we're always saying, no prequels, don't explain where these things come from. They're not scary anymore. But the good thing about Flag is that it doesn't matter how far you go back, it's never the origin. We don't know. He doesn't even know how long he's been around. Yeah. So it's always like just fun to have him in the story, and he's always scary. There were a couple things that I did notice. Mentions of the priest named Curran.
Yes, I looked that up too.
Yeah.
Because he says, I'm going to bring him back up, and he never actually.
Right.
I had that written too, but he
so
never
I thought maybe this was like, maybe we could say, maybe it's supposed to be like Father Callahan.
I thought that too.
Yeah. A bit of a double in this universe kind of thing.
Twinner, maybe.
Yeah. And then also towards the end, page 380, like, the mention of it, the adventures of Thomas and Dennis, and I know that I think you guys said that does happen later on.
Yes.
They say they meet Flag again.
Mentioned like coming into town.
They cross paths with them,
but that's another story.
Yeah, they don't really get.
You'll have to tell me what story that's actually in.
It's in the Dark Tower story later on. I'm pretty sure.
It's in the third book.
Yeah, it's such an aside. It's another instance of, but that's another story. Right. They don't go into it at all, and we never hear about it again.
But are we supposed to believe that it's actually them, and how old would they be at that point?
Again, the history here, the mythology is so loose. Who knows?
And this is kind of told as a legend, I guess.
Exactly.
Did you guys know that before I started reading this, I thought that there was a twist to the book, and I was convinced that near the end of the book, it would become exposed that it was actually modern day, or like something was weird, and like Flag was visiting from modern day, and like he would step through like a brick portal and all.
What made you think that?
Because someone at one point was like, "Oh yeah, the twist in that book is so good," and I think they mixed it up with a different book.
I wonder what,
and I was
they thought.
The twist is napkins.
Dollhouse, folks.
You'll never see it coming. The title of the book is Napkins.
What? I really wish this would be called Napkins, but they still the dragon art on the front of it, though. We're all falling apart here.
Can I do? There's one more Dark Tower reference.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this does actually kind of play with the idea of how long this was. So Roland's grandfather is Alaric Henry Deshane. And they say he actually went to the barony of Garland to slay a dragon, but he found that it had already been killed. And it's like, is this Roland's dragon that he had killed?
It's like a mixture of stories being told about Midworld.
Yeah.
That's what I get from this book most of all. If we look at it,
Yeah, and it's like the flag stuff too, where it's like the Joker origin story. A lot of it contradicts itself.
Yeah,
but that's kind of what makes it work. Is this mystery and it's like a Rashomon kind of understanding of what's going on.
Plus, we get the filter of the King narrator. So even though we are getting some of Flag's internal monologue, it's not entirely dependable because he's always apologizing for his storytelling abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So it is close to Flag, but it's also not ruining Flag.
But
like
maybe in the original version of this, the narrator was Flag. It was even more unreliable.
I hope you enjoyed my story. I'm Randall Flagg.
No,
I'll see you all soon.
Well, that would have been a cool twist, though, at the end if we realized that the narrator was actually like, evil, you know.
Sad.
Sorry, Steven.
And now I'm going to kill you all.
Yeah.
Anything else before I go? I've got a special section I want to go into here.
Section.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
All right.
I think that's it for the old Dominion.
Surprise section I'm going to be calling The Humiliation of Stephen King and Peter Straub's Children.
They're all gonna laugh at you! They're all gonna laugh at you! They're all gonna laugh at you! They're all gonna laugh at you!
So again, this is dedicated to Naomi King and Ben Straub. Peter King, the Sports Illustrated writer. No, Peter Straub and Stephen King at this point were working on the Talisman book when this was all going on, so that's why they got to know each other pretty well. This must have humiliated Naomi and Ben. I've got a couple passages here.
How old were they?
Naomi, I think, was 13. I'm assuming Ben was
that's
around that
actually
age.
pretty old.
Yeah. Well, old enough and young enough to be embarrassed by some of these passages.
Right at that perfect age where it really gets embarrassing.
Oh, so here we go. So this is a line from Ben. This is a thought about Ben. Under the circumstances, the possibility of being snowbound with a girl as beautiful as Naomi would have delighted him, but not while a kingdom might be won and lost 20 miles to the east. Can you imagine like the terror and the horror of Naomi King reading this? Or Ben reading this like, oh, Dad, or Mr. King, please. Dennis praises Ben for his work. And then Naomi goes, please, I wouldn't go that far, Naomi said. But by then her grin was so broad it seemed in danger of splitting her head in two. Hot. She reached over, put her arms around Ben, and kissed him soundly. Ben turned an absolutely alarming shade of red. He looked as if he might be on the verge of bursting his brain, as they said in Delain in those long ago days. I must tell you, though, that he also looked delighted.
So here's two children with their heads about to go in full scanners after a kid.
Yeah, and they're both heads exploding. Like, couldn't think of any other description of like her head goes into
bursting,
and then his head exploded.
And I was hoping that wasn't even like a sexual saying, bursting his brain.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
I hope not, because that would be even worse. It's Stephen King. He's talking about the king talking about what his dick looks like on page 3. I don't know what's going on with this guy.
The son of my good friend thought that my daughter was very pretty and
pretty.
He grew aroused.
Like, very pretty indeed.
Yeah, he did not need the king's iron to finish the deed.
So long story short, my condolences to young Naomi King and young Peter Straub. I'm sure this was a very
They did not get together.
troubling time. By the way, they definitely did not get together if we know the history of both of them.
And they have the dog as Frisky, too. That's a little sexual as well. It's
smoking.
It's like, would you like to come with me and Frisky?
Well, that's the end of my little special section. I couldn't find anywhere else to read those passages, but yeah, but it's kind of innocent in a way, you know. I didn't want to sully the name of Pound Cake.
What?
I don't know. I think it's time to give our Rabbit Pennywise Clown Noses. Let's go to our overall thoughts.
Dad, can we go now?
You ready?
Yeah, we've been ready for an hour.
Okay, I'll be right there.
You said that a half hour ago. Yeah, my dad's weird. He gets like that when he's writing.
This book was kind of a slog for me. I really do like epic fantasy, and I'm surprised by the descriptions on the backs of your books, because this is not epic. It takes place in a single kingdom, most of it in a single room. There's one escape. I mean, I suppose it takes place over a long time frame, but I got a little bored. It moved pretty slowly for me, and I don't think epic is a word that it deserves.
No.
Not enough dragons. I mean, that's a full nose demerit right there. And it's just confusing to me. I feel like its messages are muddled. The good bits are contradicted by the bits that seem to get more focus. The whole like predestination thing about kingliness is confusing to me when presented against the other case of Thomas. So while there is some good character work in here for like 2 characters, and I do appreciate King trying on a different hat, so to speak, I am gonna have to give it like 2.
2
bright
red Pennywise clown noses. Okay, all right, Mac.
Yeah, I'm giving it 2 bright red Pennywise clown noses as well.
All right.
I mean, the Dark Tower references aren't enough for, that's like a star. No, it was a bit of a slog. It felt really long. I also felt like that, maybe this isn't the book for me. Maybe this is for a younger audience. But even then, you read these Potter books and stuff, and those are gripping. You're flying through it. This was a chore. It really was, and I just didn't really connect to it.
So we got 2 bright red Pennywise clown noses between the two of yous. Dan.
So I actually kind of enjoyed it. And I remember when I read it back in the day enjoying it. I think in part it's because Flag is such a prominent character. So I can ignore all the other stuff just to get more of him. But the audiobook was actually a really good experience.
That makes a huge difference if it's a well-read audiobook.
Yeah, it was really engaging. And, it's like on the train, it's almost like having a podcast going.
It's sort of written like it's meant to be read aloud, too.
Yeah. It feels kind of like a play in a lot of ways. Like, it's not a lot of sets. I could really see this being stage reading.
Well, the narrator seems like a character,
Yeah. And like I said, like Bronson, his vocal range was great. And apparently he's narrated like hundreds of books. And I would highly recommend.
What if he just did it in the Balky accent from Perfect Strangers?
Oh my God. I could not stop laughing for the first few chapters when I found out it was him. But so I'll give it 3 bright red Pennywise clown noses.
Yes, you got it.
And because it's got Flag in it, I will also give it a grain of dragon sand.
Oh, spooky.
Careful where you put that.
Yeah.
I will place it right on the nose.
But the nose is unaffected because it's so evil.
Half-Life. We'll check in 10,000 years and see if it's deteriorated.
I'm with you. I did not like this book as much the second go around. I still enjoyed so much of the Dark Tower-ness of it all. So I will also give it 3 bright red Pennywise clown noses. It's a soft recommendation from me. I'll say that much. I like, again, the napkins and dollhouse aspect of it. I love all the stuff with Flag. The only major problem I had was in the first half, if this makes sense. How about this? If there's 4 acts, the third act, in which we follow so much of Ben and Dennis, and I keep mixing the two of them up. But I really like the conclusion. And I think if the conclusion didn't land for me, I probably would have been in the same boat as you two, and I probably would have knocked it down a half a nose or 1 for that matter. So for me, it's a light recommendation. But a recommendation nonetheless. And so that comes out to an average of 2.5 bright red Pennywise clown noses, and of course, courtesy of Dan, a grain of dragon sand. So overall, we don't recommend this as a group. We do not recommend it.
Might as well not exist. It's a perfectly even neutral stance.
It really is. It's like okay, this book exists.
As Thomas and Dennis go off into the distance, all I could see was, I was trying to think of the end of Lord of the Rings, where they going off and on the white ships. But all I could think of was the end of Legend.
With them waving.
Yeah, because
Tangerine Dream in the background.
Their coat of arms, I think, is a unicorn stabbing a dragon. And then I had a unicorn in my head, and then I just saw them running off this unicorn, and then we see Flag appear darkly.
I think you've just made clear what the fade out song of this episode will be. He'll be that Tangerine Dream song from the end of the theatrical version, of course.
That's right.
Of Legend, not the Jerry Goldsmith score. Well, thanks again for listening to the Losers Club each and every week. Please be sure to spread word about the podcast if you haven't already.
There were no adaptations of this, by the way.
Wait. Actually, I found one on YouTube.
Don't worry, Mom. I know all about cannibalism. I saw it on TV.
See? It's okay. You saw it on the television.
So with most books that I read, I go to YouTube after and I put them in just to see what's out there. And there was actually high school kids made a 12-minute adaptation of this.
What?
But it's like a silent movie.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cute. It's
the little kids is Randall Flag.
Yeah, and the Randall Flag has a green
baby flag.
He has a Joker wig on. They definitely, it's funny because there's some sexy time when they have the Roland entering after eating the dragon, and they kind of look at the camera and then jump under the sheets, and then the next shot is them like holding a teddy bear.
I've got to find this.
How many noses would you give this only existing adaptation?
Short film.
I felt a little creepy watching it, to be honest, after a while. But it was good. It was, it hit a lot of the major scenes, and it was, you could see like the swimming pool in the backyard, and it just feels like it's the kind of movie that me and my friends would make growing up.
We're gonna have to find this and share it on our Facebook
But there
page.
are no professional adaptations.
No,
There's
no.
movie. There's no TV series.
There was a development hell thing going on like 15 years ago. I think Sci-Fi Channel was involved back when it was actually spelled out Sci-Fi Channel before it went cute with the SYFY. But that's it.
I don't think it'd make it very good.
Because I feel like there's such a tribute to other better fairy tales, where it's like, why even bother making this version of it?
Yeah, in the trailer they
On
would
AMC.
show the rope of napkins hanging out in the trailer, and you would be like, that's the
Like,
whole
oh my God, that's
point
it.
of the
That's it. So it would be called like Tangled, but it would be like Tangled, this version. Tangled was a Disney film instead of the name of Rapunzel. That's all I remember from that film.
She had a chameleon sidekick.
That's right. Where did they come up with the chameleon sidekick for that story?
I could not tell you. They were like, well, what have we done? What have we not done?
We've done Eddie Murphy as a red dragon.
Someone
with,
was like, oh,
with
cuttlefish.
Mulan.
They were like, no, she's not underwater. Bill, get out of here. What else changes color?
Bill, I wish you were a chameleon. Wait a minute. Okay, on that note, everybody, what better way to go out than talking about Rapunzel? Thanks again for listening to the Losers Club each and every week. Please be sure to spread word about the podcast if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, what more do you want from us?
Yikes.
Be sure to leave us a review on iTunes, Facebook, or wherever else you may listen to us. It really does help. We'll be back with more news next week, but in a couple weeks, we'll be releasing our second Souls Midnight episode. It was a big hit last year. Spooky. So if you missed our first one, be sure to go back and check that one out. It's a bit of a departure from our King theme episodes, but some would say it might be even a little spookier. As the ghosts will say. But more, that got really creepy all of a sudden here. But in terms of book preparation in April, folks, we're heading out to the territories.
Oh, yeah.
With Traveling Jack for the Talisman. So you have a month to read that book, and you will need it. So until next time, long days and pleasant nights. Bye.
I got some hot friends. God, I got some hot friends. I got some hot friends. God, I got some hot friends. But you know you want somebody to treat you good.
Consequence Podcast Network.